Cubs managed just 5 hits in a 6-2 loss to the Diamondbacks at Wrigley Field. Javier Assad charged with his third loss. Cubs skipper David Ross said Assad had a few control issues.
It looked a little scattered. It looked like some of the sinkers were pulled. Command looked to be an issue for the first time in a while. Couldn't really sync up. Looked like got a little bit better there towards the end, but just didn't look like he had his command tonight.
Cubs still have a firm hold on one of the NL wildcard slots and just 2 back of Milwaukee in the NL Central. White Sox begin a weekend series with the Tigers. Bears opening the 2023 season against Green Bay Sunday at Soldier Field. No major injuries to begin the year. Number 11, Notre Dame will stay hot as they visit North Carolina State. At least they hope to at Carter Finley Stadium tomorrow. The Fighting Illini look to stay undefeated when they visit the Kansas Jayhawks at Memorial Stadium tonight. 2 teams haven't played each other since 1968, and the Illini are a slight underdog. High school football tonight. There's a big one. Number 3, Loyola, and number 18, Marist will tangle. Number 9, Maine South is at number 10, Palatine, and number 11, St. Rita will battle number 14, Joliet Catholic in Joliet. The news, a service of Cabino Environmental. Home and business owners use the Cabino Oil Stain Remover. It's the most powerful oil stain lifting formula on the market, available at all 8 Rental Max locations. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees more phony charges.
It is said that Lavrentiy Beria, the founder of the KGB, his motto was, "Show me the man, and I will find you the crime." We have arrived at that point in America. President Trump solicited actions to guarantee that the 2020 elections were fair. That was his crime.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you a driver of a Ford PowerStroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford PowerStroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford PowerStroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV, with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right. Unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
It is 5:11. Let's get an update on the roads now. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. It is a service of Indeed.com. Does your business need help ramping up? Check out Indeed, the all-in-one hiring solution. Visit Indeed/credit. Get $75 toward your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply. Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson in and outbound, all starting off on time this morning. Tri-State, accident left lane block, northbound 294 between Harlem Avenue to right before 95th where the accident sits. Tri-State southbound, a rollover semi, 2 left lanes are blocked. southbound just after 95th this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, mostly cloudy skies. Our high today at 69. Partly cloudy tonight, low 59. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow. The high at 75. On Sunday, times of clouds and sunshine. The high 78. Monday, rain, high 68. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
62 at O'Hare, 64 Lakefront, 62 Midway, 61 in Aurora. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answers starts next on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I feel better. I look better. I have more energy, everything. And I'm 60 years old.
Oh my gosh, you need to share every bit of the success. I'm in love with them, and I'm going to keep on taking them until the end of time because my body clearly is doing something with Balance of Nature. I mean, my skin looks good, and I've got energy, and I walk, talk fast, and you can see that I'm up with these fruit and vegetables.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-2468-751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
It seems like everyone is on a complicated diet these days. Gluten-free, keto, metabolic, sugar-free. And with these diets comes special dietary protocol and food products. You can find plenty of advice on your social media sites, but you need expertise to purchase the right food items. A visit to Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop is necessary to shop the best food choices for a medical diet or health plan. Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop stocks all the hard-to-find foods you're looking for, like wheat and dairy alternatives, sugar-free baking mixes, healthy snacks, and more. There's no longer a reason to put off that diet you're supposed to be on when you have Lil's. The staff has personally researched and vetted each item in the store and has plenty of choices in stock.
Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop on 111th Street in Mount Greenwood on the south side of Chicago. Stop in and shop in person or order online at lilsdietary.com and get your items shipped right to your home. lilsdietary.com. Shop, learn, and be healthy.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim, Attorney at Law, is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J. This morning is former ABC7 political reporter Charles Thomas. Charles, thank you for joining us again.
I'm no Amy J, but I'll give it a go.
All right. It's good we don't have animals running around here this morning because you're in for Amy J. Dogs and cats.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
I got one of those.
Yeah.
Can I bring her?
Yeah, sure.
My dog?
Why not?
Cocoa Bubbles.
Why not?
She is. She's my road dog.
I would bring Hayek in to be truthful, except he's a Florida resident now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He refuses to come back to Chicago until things get better. Speaking of which, it's remarkable. We started the week with this story. It actually broke over the weekend. The quote-unquote fake news outlets that I'm a part of had the story out over the weekend before the vaunted Chicago political press corps. But they finally got wind of it when Stacey Davis Gates decided to comment on it in an interview on WBEZ. And Charles, I find it remarkable how school choice can be the choice of racists until she wants to find a high school for her kid to play soccer.
You know, this is just one more. You know, the players have changed, but the Democrat Party's corruption game continues. This is more of the same. Remember Rahm, remember Forrest Claypool. All of their children went to public schools. And public schools, of course, a lot more expensive than De La Salle, but this has gone on for years.
I mean, spend a lot more per pupil than De La Salle.
Yeah, twice, more than twice as much.
$30,000 per pupil,
and,
right?
And it's but it's more the same corruption and hypocrisy that we've seen for the past, 10 decades. I don't know however long have these people been in charge of everything, but the game is the same. Only the players have changed. It used to be the green team, the Madigan, Burke, Daley people. Now it's the Chicago Teachers Union. That's what it is, and they're doing the same thing that they've been doing to the city for the past, 7-8 decades.
Old Stacey Davis Gates said, I was referencing her, school choice was actually I'm quoting her, school choice was actually the choice of racists. It was created to avoid integrating schools with black children. She said, I am a mother. My children go to Chicago public schools. These are things that legitimize my space within the coalition. Now she's saying, new Stacey Davis Gates is saying, it was the result of unfair choices she and other South and West Side parents face. It was a very difficult decision for us because there's not a lot to offer black youth who are entering high school. In many of our schools on the South and West Side, the course offerings are very marginal and limited. Then the other thing, and it was a very strong priority, was his ability to participate in co-curricular and extracurricular activities, which, quite frankly, don't exist in many of the schools, high schools in particular.
So it's still racism.
Wait.
Racism is somehow mixed into this, right?
And by the way, who's the victim here? She is.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh, absolutely.
Not just because she was forced to send her kids to a private school because of the failure of her own description of the failure of the government schools on the South Side where she lives that she runs.
Let the violins begin the sad song.
Well, she continued. Of course she did. We live in a time with extremist political rhetoric, and it's led to violence. My children, my family should not have to endure this. And doxing a child is violent. It's unacceptable. It needs to be rejected and decried by every institutional leader. It's just not okay. Nobody is making this about her son. This has nothing to do. I said this on Tuesday. It has nothing. I said it on Twitter over the weekend when I was tweeting about this because we were talking about it again well before the Chicago Press Corps had felt compelled to acknowledge it. But nobody's saying this is about her son. I have nothing against her son. He should be in the best environment he can be in. We want that for every child, and we want every parent to have that choice for their child, and that's the rub. Stacey Davis Gates doesn't want every parent to have that choice for their child.
And I think I've read one headline that actually mentioned that it was you GOP types who are pressing this story, that this, if it weren't for you GOP types, then maybe nobody would even mind.
You know, you make a great point about this being old hat, and so this is, and so we point this out and say, if for thee, then why not for me and everyone else? And then they do the, oh my God, you're directing violence against my family because you've noted, like we've noted, Rahm and Pritzker and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and every leftist politician when they rise to elite status. They're Chris Welch, the speaker, their kids go to private school. Don Harmon, the Senate president. On and on and on. We went through this. It's endless. We could, if the Chicago Public School teachers want to self-disclose, we would find out that probably 4 to 5 and 10 send their kids to private school. No problem with that. Make your choices.
Man, I tell you.
But we fall into this. We can't get out of this. We point out their hypocrisy. They cry victim, and everybody says, well, hey, this is just their choice. And it's in part because a lot of people still believe that somehow CPS is underfunded and the schools on the west side and south sides are underfunded when they are not underfunded. They are just run horrifically.
You know, Dan, it's early. It's early, man, in the morning. And usually I don't get this worked up until late morning. But this is just, I can't understand how people, particularly my people, black people, don't understand what's going on. How come they can't get it? They throw up that race flag, and automatically everybody reverts to this, to the struggle again, when they can't understand that the con, the grift that's being played by these people.
312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, Turnkey.pro text line. I mean, you're talking about, it's not just that she sort of philosophically opposes school choice. Her union, the union she's the boss of, killed school choice in this state. They just did it.
They just did it. Yep.
She literally just got finished taking the choice she made for her kid away from similarly situated parents, actually probably much worse situated parents when it comes to household income on the south and west side. She just got done. And then she turns around and it's the GOP's fault. And
yeah, you're talking about the scholarship program.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think there's hope. I think the more they do this, particularly now, I got to think that more people in the city are going to wake up. Not a majority of them, but enough of them to break the Democrat Party's hold on the city. If they can, you know, this is such a glaring example of what they're doing, and how the elites are basically keeping this huge this plurality of the population really in this city in its place.
You know, I wonder, Brandon Johnson, BLM Brandon, he's the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he wasn't elected mayor, because he's got kids that I think are about high school age or
Yep.
like coming into high school age.
Mhm.
I wonder what choice he would have made for their high school, especially living in the Austin area.
Well, you know, we've heard things. We've heard things. In fact, they surround De La Salle Academy. I've heard things because I heard about this. I heard about this some time ago. Sure. But if he
The
had
Chicago
not been
press
elected
is
mayor,
Chicago press is always the last to know.
oh, for sure, yeah, today, yeah, because it's all that GOP stuff that if it wasn't for the GOP, nobody would really care about it. you GOP types.
Stacey Davis Gates, our neighborhoods have basically been robbed of everything. She lives, in Chatham. There's some truth to that. How'd that happen? Anybody follow up? How did Chatham go from where it was 30 years ago to where it is today?
Yeah. Who was in charge? Who was in charge when all that happened?
Was I in charge? I don't recall.
Well, you GOP types, man. You know all the GOP types that are running everything in Chicago and Cook County?
Was that during the period where Illinois was run by white supremacists? Must have been.
It must have been.
Yeah. Chicago as well.
Oh,
the white supremacists.
The white
area
supremacists in Chicago, man, they're some of the worst in the country because Chicago, I believe, Chicago in particular, has the highest black unemployment rate in these United States. That's according to the Economic Policy Institute, which is a liberal think tank.
Yeah.
And they're saying that Illinois is number one for black unemployment in these United States.
Yeah.
So it has to be those dastardly, white supremacists.
Well, maybe it is. They're just not the names you think they are. They're names like Pritzker and Welch and Harmon and Brandon
and Preckwinkle
and all of the politicians of yore who came from that same criminal organization.
There are more black elected officials in Illinois than any state in the country. We have more black elected officials.
And it's going great.
It's going great, man. I mean, you can see the progress everywhere. You can see the progress everywhere with these people. And they jump me. They jump me because I think in a different way. I get jumped all the time, man. It's amazing. I mean, I got people that were friends for, I thought, were friends for 30 years. Don't talk to me anymore. It's amazing, man.
And what
Not that I care because they never were friends.
Right.
They
and what do people like that say? In your conversations with people like that. Oh my God, Charles, how could you believe that, or how could you be hanging around with that person? When you. Yeah, for example, and we say like,
who I've known for 25 years, and I mean.
But I mean, what they read a story like this, when they hear about a story like this, what do they say? When they hear Stacey Davis Gates with her,
they
propagandizing.
They do the same thing when you read her what is it? Her explanation. They will. Well, basically, they don't talk to me anymore. I can't even bring it up.
But what's the thinking? How do they rationalize their position and their belief system against a story like this?
But in dollars and cents, how much they get paid, how connected are they to the system, and that includes people in the media.
There you go.
That includes people in the media because they get their anchor jobs and their higher profile jobs. I'm talking black folks here.
Sure.
And they don't want to hear me say that, but they toe the line they're part of the grift.
They're cut in.
They're cut in.
As long as you cut me in, you don't have to cut it out. All right, we'll continue this conversation and fold in another burgeoning development in the city. BLM Brandon's on point on this one, the co-mayor, along with Stacey Davis Gates. And that's his plan to set up a tent city for the migrants. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
62 degrees at 5:31. Mayor Brandon Johnson's next pick to be Chicago's police superintendent is asking the public for help in solving the city's major crime issues. Chief Larry Snelling took questions during a public hearing last night. Snelling calling on the public to be partners with CPD, especially in the illegal migrant crisis.
I would like to see somebody humanitarian effort and step up and help out these children and these families who are suffering while sleeping on the floor of a district.
Last night's hearing was required before the city council can vote on Snelling's nomination. Hurricane Lee, now a Category 5 storm. The National Hurricane Center says rip currents and hazardous surf will spread across the northern Caribbean and brush mainland U.S. states by Sunday. Drivers across the central part of the U.S. are bracing for a major spike in gas prices. Jeff Manasso explains why.
The average price at the pump nationwide for regular unleaded, around $3.80 per gallon, is set to skyrocket, between 50 cents and $1 in the coming days for drivers in Oklahoma, Missouri, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Minnesota, and Kansas, about a week ahead of the switch to a winter gas blend.
Whether it is because of a squeeze on supply that was unanticipated or if it was a refinery issue that hasn't come to light yet, the way the market's reacting is very panicked.
Gas Buddies' Patrick DeHaan.
If it was me, I'd be filling my tank up and then just kind of battening down the hatches.
He also says the EPA could squash the gas price hike by waiving the weight to the cheaper winter fuel blend. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
1 month after a blindingly fast wildfire destroyed the historic town of Lahaina on the Hawaiian island of Maui, nearly 400 are still missing. Teams of rescuers and cadaver dogs have searched nearly all of Lahaina. A Fulton County special grand jury report related to former President Trump's Georgia election interference case is set to be released later today. A federal appeals court is putting on hold a judge's order that had required Texas Governor Greg Abbott to remove a floating barrier from the Rio Grande River. The barrier was installed to stop illegal migrant crossings. Nearly 1,600 illegal migrants seeking asylum in the U.S. will be relocated from Chicago police stations to winterized camps with massive tents under a plan that is expected to be implemented by Mayor Brandon Johnson. Mayor telling the Chicago Sun-Times that the relocations will occur before the weather begins to shift. Chicago sports found the Cubs losing to the Diamondbacks 6-2 at Wrigley Field. Javier Assad charged with his third loss. White Sox began a weekend set with the Tigers at Comerica Park. The Bears opening the 2023 season against Green Bay Sunday. While in college football, number 11 Notre Dame will try and stay hot. They visit North Carolina State tomorrow. Tonight, Fighting Illini look to stay unbeaten when they visit the Kansas Jayhawks as a slight underdog. The news, a service of the Barbecue Authority, your go-to for the largest selections of grills, smokers, and outdoor products is the Barbecue Authority. Visit the Lyle showroom or online at bbqauthority.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum sees work ahead for Trump.
MAGA people are going to vote for Trump no matter what. But for other people that's on the fence, in the middle, vacillating, in the general, is when you're going to see a huge effect. If Donald Trump is able to prove his innocence early on, or it appears that he's going to be innocent early on, I think that's going to be a tremendous boost for him.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Rick here from Forever Remodeling. You probably heard me talk about how our unique design-build process removes the normal problems of hiring a design and construction company separately. But just don't take my word for it. Listen to these customer reviews. Kelly W. says, from consultation to design to construction, my remodel flowed seamlessly. Adity J says, we were thrilled to have a full-service remodeling firm take all the guesswork out of our project. And Caesar V says, Forever Remodeling made what could have been a very stressful project extremely easy for us. They finished on time and did amazing work. Kitchens, bathrooms, basements, additions, whole house remodeling, whatever you need, our start-to-finish process delivers stunning results without the hassles, headaches, and stress. For a free consultation, call Forever Remodeling at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
because you can. Here's the number to call
847-623-1625.
and get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
O'Reilly Auto Parts proudly introduces new Brake Best Select Pro brake pads and rotors. For superior stopping power and professional-grade performance, stop at O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
5:38. Let's get an update on the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. It is a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder. Now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. And right now we are seeing delays on the Kennedy. Already building between Austin and Montrose, 25 minutes into the Burns Circle interchange. Dan Ryan inbound jammed up 95th up to 79th, 14 minutes into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State, 2 left lanes have just been reopened northbound between Ridgeland and all the way to 95th. Due to an earlier accident. Problems southbound on the Tri-State due to a rollover semi and another car involved in that accident. That's southbound between 87th all the way to 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast cloudy and 69. 62 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by CharlesEquipment.com, keeping you powered up no matter what the conditions. CharlesEquipment.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, former ABC 7 political reporter Charles Thomas. We're talking about co-mayor Stacey Davis Gates's defense of her decision to send her son to private Catholic school while she takes that option away from families who don't have her resources, but who do live in South and West Side neighborhoods that she's always carrying on about.
And her Democrat Party colleagues, of course, as you know, ended the scholarship program that would give families an opportunity to send their children to private schools and get away from the horrific Chicago public schools in particular. She supports taking that right away from other families, while she, and just just incredible hypocrisy.
Well, hypocrisy is something that's part of the privilege of being a movement Marxist.
Yeah.
So
an elite.
The the boss has different options than do the peasants. If you were the feudal lord and the peasants, maybe the plantation owner and the workers. Maybe.
Seriously, that's a good analogy.
Mhm.
Plantation owner.
So that's the co-mayor. She's on that score. And by the way, I don't want to absolve Republicans here, hardly. Not in the way that Stacey Davis Gates. Oh, this is violence by pointing out my hypocrisy. Hardly. But doing the easy thing of pointing out her hypocrisy and her record, and using this as an opportunity to explain to people again, how resourced these public schools are that continue to woefully underperform based on any measure you want. Pick a measure, any measure. The Republican Party needs to make this the hill they will die on if they ever hope to be relevant again. And I think most of them that are in office don't really hope to be relevant, don't really care. They just like to be cut in on the deal, and they'll go along just like, the people in the media that you were talking about. This is how you get a bipartisan combine, as John Cass terms it, is that the Republicans just fold in the handful that are left. They're not particularly bright. They're not particularly courageous. And they'll mouth some of the words to pretend like we have a two-party system here, to pretend like the Republicans have any interest in competing in the suburbs, for first and foremost, and ultimately in the city. But they're just completely absent without leave. I
can't even name one. I can't name an out front Republican right now who really would carry the banner on an issue such as school choice.
I mean, I can name Republicans. I know who they are, but I can't fill that void any more than you can. I can't name one that's out front on this. I mean, there were some moments in the General Assembly when we were trying to salvage the tax credit scholarship program where Senate Republicans, in particular, stood up. But that's in the 11th hour. They have there's no raison d'etre for the Republican Party, and there hasn't been for a long time. And I'm sorry, but the John Currens and the a couple other Republicans in the suburbs banding about, and Tony McCumbee, who would get lost in the suburbs. They're not. I mean, come on. You can't be serious. But so even more but one more culpable party here, because there's opportunity. There's opportunity when you have a spectacle like Stacey Davis Gates, when she says the kind of things she says. But you have to seize it. You have to have an opposition that's willing to take it up politically and advance their flag, if it's a flag they really want to advance. That also includes the Empower Illinois folks and the people who were essentially managing the tax credit scholarship program and raising money for it. They chose the tin cup strategy. They chose the Mother May I strategy with the movement Marxists in charge of the state, and they got steamrolled.
Well, you got to remember too that a lot of those suburban and downstate lawmakers, be they Republicans, they're also getting some of that
teachers
that
union money.
Money,
yeah,
man.
That's a great point. No, you're getting downstate, some downstate Republicans that are teachers unions toadies, public sector union toadies. That's always been a problem in the Republican Party here. Absolutely right.
Remember when the voucher program got defeated basically by Republicans. I remember when I think it was
Meeks
when Meeks had the bill,
yeah,
and he thought he had it won, and whoa,
the teachers union. Yeah, no, this is why I've long said that if the Republican Party was serious, it would completely decouple from SEIU, AFSCME, the teachers union, and say we're not taking your money. Just as a rule, we're drawing a line. You are the organizations with the sort of proximate responsibility for destroying the state, and we're not going to be a party to that, so that people understand that there's a real choice. But of course, they didn't want to do that. Yeah, Meeks in the Senate and Kevin Joyce in the House back in the day, and then ultimately we got this tax credit scholarship under Rauner, and then there's no will to fight for it. And where are the families? Where are the families organized protesting outside Stacey Davis Gates' house, like they would be if the hypocrisy was reversed?
Oh man, if it was reversed,
right?
Oh man,
right. Where are they? Where are the families being activated? Where are the families being profiled? Where is the campaign? Where are people, as you say, out front on this, taking Stacey Davis Gates to task and dissecting every word she said and putting it in this larger context to give this story air and legs? Nowhere.
Nope.
How about on this one? The co-mayor, and we'll take a couple of your calls in just a moment. I just want to get this in, too, so we'll take calls on both. Since we're talking about the co-mayors, Stacey Davis Gates, BLM Brandon. I have to come up with a nickname for Stacey Davis Gates. Help me with that as well. The migrant issue, BLM Brandon has a plan without details, but that's fine because all you need is emotion and an appeal towards a big vision, sort of a big utopian vision, how we're all going to have a Coke and smile. Then that's all you need for the Chicago Press Corps and for the electorate. Nearly 1,600 asylum seekers would be moved out of Chicago police stations before the weather begins to shift and change into winterized base camps. Massive tents. This is a plan unveiled yesterday. It's not much of a plan. It's just a statement. Johnson refused to say where the 10 cities would be built. But don't you worry. He's got top men on it, and they've identified suitable locations. It would hold up to 1,000 migrants, though he added that 500 or so was an ideal scenario. He also described a comprehensive, coordinated safety plan at every single shelter. Well, he didn't describe it. He just said he's got one, including the 16 and counting facilities created by the city to house the 13,500 migrants already here, busloads arriving every day. Johnson did not rule out budget cuts or tax increases or both to pay for the provisions for the migrants because it's the right thing to do. It's costing Chicago about $30 million a month, but that's a pittance for doing the right thing. The city will have to make sacrifices, he said, adding that the cost of not making those sacrifices, not making them, the cost would be higher. These families, quoting BLM Brandon, are coming to the city of Chicago if we do not create an infrastructure where we are able to support and contain these individuals who have experienced a great deal of harm, individuals who are desperate. If we do not provide support for these individuals and these families, that type of desperation will lead to chaos. I don't know what that statement means. I honestly I have no idea.
Can I go big picture here?
But well, okay, just one thing though. If you want to help on this, and it sounds like BLM Brandon could use the help, where should the 10 cities be set up? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Can I go big picture here?
Please.
Brandon Johnson does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan for much. I mean, think about his firing of this health commissioner woman. And he didn't have anybody to put in the spot. He still doesn't. Think about this business with his police superintendent appointing members of the command staff when he's only got a few more weeks on the job. And he allowed him to do that, or did he do that on his own, or is this Brandon trying to cover? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. But I think it again reveals the lack of a plan. I think he basically didn't have a plan during the campaign. He's got no plan at this point to raise this $800 million that he needs. He hasn't told us. He's been in office now for what, 4 months?
He
just doesn't have a plan.
Well, he's rolled out the increased real estate transfer tax on homes up for $1 million, but I agree with you.
But even that doesn't speak much of a plan because he's spent this tax would raise $100 million. He's already spent $100 million this summer for homeless people.
So let me. I mean, my understanding is that he's sort of slow walking what he's really going to do until after the convention next summer.
Well, look. I mean, he was elected mayor. I mean, he says I'm deliberate. He's deliberating. No, you weren't elected to deliberate. We can all deliberate. You were elected to act, to tell us what to do something.
He is. He's going to build 10 cities. Is that great?
Well,
I mean, speaking of this too. I mean, so again, I mean, I hate to, beat this drum, but you think the tent cities are going up on the Gold Coast or on the lakefront or in maybe they will be in Lincoln Park? I don't know. The ritzy neighborhoods where the influentials live. So, with respect to the tent cities, with respect to the hotels and other college campuses and other institutions that are being repurposed to house migrants, with respect to the money that's being spent on this, and so, I mean, who stands to lose the most? I don't know. It seems like the residents of the South Shore and other parts of the city, Hyde Park, made their feelings known about this. Not that they're not culpable and not that they're going to do anything more than scream at a community meeting. I have no optimism about anything more than that. But I'm just saying, just as a matter of fact. So on the one hand, you have co-mayor BLM Brandon prioritizing people in this country illegally to resettle in Chicago. At the expense of Chicagoans. And on the other hand, you have Stacey Davis Gates blocking families who are lower income and can't move from accessing the kind of schools she can access. So she's enjoying the benefits of being a union boss at the expense of Chicago residents, too. I mean, this is just an electorate that loves to be exploited. I don't know a better way to describe it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Matt, Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. You say what you want about Brandon Johnson. He doesn't pay his own bills. This guy couldn't manage a Kool-Aid stand. But to your point, Dan, the electric is the cause of the problem. They are uneducated, unwilling, and lazy, frankly, because they don't do any homework on any of these candidates. They don't vet anybody. It feels good. He looks right. He's the right person. And this is what we get. Unfortunately, too many people suffer as a result of it. And by the time people wake up, and people are waking up, it's going to be too late, I believe.
Thanks for
Have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Well, I mean, again, the idea that welcoming an untold number of people into the city with no confidence that they're being properly screened to enter this country in the first place, I'm talking about, with the state having to essentially, the city being the state, the government having to step in and provide their basic necessities. I mean, this is Eric Adams, they're going to destroy New York City. Whoa, Mr. Sanctuary City. What's that all about?
Yeah, what's that about? Man?
So I asked this question yesterday. I mean, if we had 13,500 people move from surrounding states to Illinois, who are American citizens, moved here, or otherwise in this country legally moving here, we'd be like, oh, that's great. Fine, Chicago, Illinois, finally growing again. But when we have 13,500 migrants, it's a chaotic situation. That's essentially what Eric Adams is saying. Now, Brandon Johnson's saying the opposite. So why is that? What's the difference? And Brandon Johnson's saying the opposite. If we don't do this, if we don't continue to send out a beacon that, keep coming, then there will be chaos. The chaos is not coming with them and with the city's involvement in providing these basic necessities. The chaos would come without them. I don't even. I'm flummoxed there, but I have a hard time decoding some of the lingo of the movement Marxists, or at least the logic.
Well, the politicians, it's sloganeering, as opposed to real managing. The city, governing the city. It's sloganeering. It's political sloganeering. We call it sanctuary city.
Yeah, it's a hustle.
It's a hustle. It's a grift, man, and people are falling for it. They fall for it over and over again. But I don't know. I get the sense that we're reaching critical mass here. I really do.
Jim in LaGrange.
Hi, Dan. I think Tent City ought to be featured. Put it on State Street, that great street.
Absolutely. Somebody could sing about it one day.
Absolutely. Close down State Street again and turn it into the old days. Just make it a big festival out there. Feature it.
There's plenty of room out there now because there's nothing else going on.
Well, I'll tell you what, as I mentioned before, state between Hubbard and Ontario, I wouldn't be milling about there after 10 o'clock on the weekends. You know what I mean?
The casino coming, man. Pretty soon.
Yeah.
Soon. Coming to your neighborhood.
The money changers are finally in the temple. Hooray.
Yeah, right.
Clay and
right.
Clay and Libertyville.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning to your co-host as well. I didn't get your name, sir. I had a name for
Thomas.
Stacey.
Yeah, you don't know Charles Thomas, for God's sakes.
I'm 30 years old and I don't watch fake news, so.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Neither do I.
Yeah, right.
Fair enough. I had a name for Stacey right off the top of my head. I was going with Flaky Stacey, and it needs a little work, but I'm sure we can get there. My suggestion is just do what Daly did with the gangbangers. Move them all out to Rockford, and then they're not a problem anymore because they're in Rockford, not Chicago, and that's 2 hours away. Thanks guys.
What about Spacey Stacy?
Spacey
Spacey Davis Gates? Spacey? Get it?
I'll
Kind
take
of
it.
like disconnected, maybe.
I'll take it under advisement. Yeah, I got to think about it. Take more suggestions, though. Michael, Southside. Southside.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Charles. Thank you for taking my call. I to be honest, that because Stacey Davis is the mirror image of BLM, let's just call her MLB.
Oh, that's pretty creative. It's a little bit of a bank shot, but I like it. Yeah, all right.
The her hypocrisy is just, but it's not a surprise. I mean, the black elite on the South Side has played that game for decades, but there is one silver lining in her hypocrisy. I'll give her at least credit for at least paying for her kid to go to a school rather than do what Anthony Beale did and make a well-placed phone call to get his kid into Whitney Young.
Very good. Nice recall, Michael. Thank you. Coming up at 6:06, we'll update the details of that poverty simulation event in Highland Park that was supposed to take place tomorrow. Was supposed to. That's 6:06. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
The mayor's pick for police superintendent answers questions from the public and a strike called by union officials at suburban elder care facilities. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
World leaders gather in India. I'm Chris Foster. Fox News. President Biden arrives in New Delhi soon for the two-day G20 Nations Summit. He'll meet privately today, first with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's already there.
We're committed to supporting emerging markets in developing countries.
And to support Ukraine in its war against Russia, she says. Former Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro, convicted now of contempt of Congress, says he will appeal all the way to the Supreme Court if he has to, claiming he has the right to ignore a congressional subpoena.
Peter Navarro says his testimony to a House panel is shielded by executive privilege. A jury found Navarro guilty on 2 misdemeanor counts of contempt of Congress.
This case is a landmark case because it's about the constitutional separation of powers. That goes back to the days of George Washington.
Navarro was subpoenaed by the House panel that investigated the January 6th Capitol riot.
Fox's Jared Halpern. A floating border barrier in Texas can stay there for now.
A U.S. appeals court grants a temporary stay, allowing Texas officials to keep a 1,000-foot orange buoy wall that runs down the Rio Grande, dividing Mexico and Eagle Pass, Texas. The barrier, part of Texas Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star efforts to stop migrants from crossing the southern border. A district judge issuing a preliminary injunction ordering officials to move the buoys by September 15th, siding with the Justice Department, who sued, alleging the international boundary went up without federal authorization. Governor Abbott appealing the decision, saying he'll continue to utilize every strategy to secure the border, vowing to take the fight all the way to the Supreme Court. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Hurricane Lee is on track to become the strongest in the Atlantic in terms of wind speed since Hurricane Dorian in 2019, with no direct threat at this point to anywhere in the United States, although there could be some dangerous surf conditions next week. America's listening to Fox News.
61 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Brandon Johnson's pick to be Chicago's next police superintendent is asking the public for help in solving the city's crime issues. Chief Larry Snelling took questions during a public hearing last night. He discussed topics like the Shot Spotter contract and accountability for officers who commit misconduct and promises to be an empathetic leader.
We can't do this unless we do it together. I can't help you if I don't listen to you.
The hearing was required before the city council can vote on his nomination. Nearly 1,600 illegal migrants seeking asylum in the U.S. will be relocated from Chicago police stations to winterized camps with massive tents under a plan by Mayor Brandon Johnson, who told the Chicago Sun-Times the relocations will begin before weather begins to shift. Illinois health officials are optimistic that COVID-19 outbreaks this winter will not be severe. During a meeting with health departments from around the state, Artie Barnes, the chief medical officer with IDPH, says it appears already that hospital admissions have peaked.
I'm not going to go as far as say that we're not going to see another second wave coming up deeper into the winter, but at least it looks like this is one slightly reassuring piece of news.
Barnes says wastewater treatment testing shows there's no real dominant strain of coronavirus in Illinois. The National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation has issued a special legal notice to the approximately 1,000 Illinois nursing home workers who may be impacted by a possible strike. SEIU has threatened to call a strike. If that happens, employees at 11 Infinity Healthcare nursing facilities in and around suburban Chicago will be ordered off the job. National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation VP Patrick Simmons.
Oftentimes, union officials will imply that participating in the strike is mandatory, but that's not actually true under federal law.
Union workers from the same company went on strike for 12 days in 2020 during the heart of the COVID-19 pandemic. Taste of Chicago kicks off today. The food festival runs through Sunday near Grant Park's Buckingham Fountain. 35 vendors, 15 food trucks, and an odd time of year. Taste was displaced by that NASCAR event. Cubs lost to the Diamondbacks 6-2 at Wrigley. White Sox take on the Tigers. Tonight, college football. Fighting Illini visit Kansas as a slight underdog. The news is a service of MyPillow. The MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. Extremely absorbent, soft feel you look for, 50% savings with promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
This is Albert Mohler for Townhall.com. The GOP candidates for president are gearing up for the next debate later this month in Southern California. I'm hoping we get something better than what we saw in Milwaukee last month. What we saw then was a poorly moderated media circus displaying just about everything wrong with American politics. The candidates played to a loud strategy that had little to do with advancing ideas. They just sought to build their brands and blasted their opponents. Furthermore, the candidate leading in the polls did not even show up. There were very few moments worth remembering. The most urgent question discussed on that stage was abortion, and the candidates revealed a lack of candor and clarity on the most important moral issue of our times, at least some of them. It really wasn't a debate at all. It was a show. Welcome to the Republican race for the White House. I need an aspirin. I'm Albert Mohler.
The Pepperdine School of Public Policy, America's unique graduate program for leaders. Learn more at publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss, even when you monitor your credit. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with the IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
6:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, 36 minutes already from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. On the Ike inbound right now, 31 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson, 30 minutes in to DuSable Lakeshore Drive from 355. Tri-State, you've got Gapers to a southbound crash on the northbound side between 115th to all the way before 95th. Tri-State southbound is where you have the accident right at 95th. 2 left lanes are blocked, a rollover semi and another car involved. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, mostly cloudy skies. Our high today at 69. Partly cloudy tonight, low 59. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow. The high at 75. On Sunday, times of clouds and sunshine. The high 78. Monday, rain, high 68. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
61 O'Hare, 62 Midway. Next news, 6:30. Breaking news as it happens. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by NJ Diet. Lose 20 to 40 pounds in just 40 days. Call 855-NJ-DIET or NJDiet.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Charles Thomas, former ABC 7 political reporter.
I'm alert this morning, despite the fact I watched that football game last night.
How about it? The Lions beat the Chiefs. That does not bode well for the Bears in that over-under 6.5 wins.
Yeah, and the Lions, man, they got a pretty good running game because that other guy's good, and Montgomery's a tough runner.
Yeah,
So,
that conference is getting tougher even with the departure of Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. They're in Green Bay. No, yeah, they're in Green Bay this weekend.
Is it
in Green Bay or?
I know they're playing Green Bay.
They're playing
I don't
Green
know
Bay.
where,
I think they're in Green Bay.
Yeah, I don't go near Soldier Field, man. I'm not into that.
That's a
I like
no-go
watching
zone for
pro
you.
football on TV.
Oh, it's here.
I'm just
Mike
not
Scott tells us it's at Soldier Field. Yeah, exactly. I used to have tickets, but no more. All right. So we got your TV watching plans. I know you wanted to get out of the house, Charles. Head up to the North Shore, visit some friends, maybe learn what it's like to live in poverty for a couple hours at the Highland Park Country Club.
How long?
A couple 9 to 11:30 was the original plan.
For 2.5 hours.
I think it's 2. I think there's some light refreshments.
They have
early.
refreshments like
yeah,
what?
I don't know.
Like Flamin' Hots or something like that.
I don't know, and but probably not that. But yeah. So this brought to you by the Alliance for Human Services. Remember we talked about this yesterday. It's gone viral. Poverty simulation event to increase residents' understanding and awareness of what it's like to live in poverty in Lake County. And we're trying to get Mike, the one homeless guy in Highland Park, to attend. And we had some other people interested in attending, and I just wanted to update this because it may change your weekend plans. They sent out a missive yesterday. Unfortunately, due to an overwhelming onslaught of negative public misinformation, let me translate that. That's newspeak for truth. Due to an overwhelming onslaught of negative public misinformation, the poverty simulation scheduled for 9/9, that would be tomorrow, is canceled. While we believe these types of events start community conversations that are crucial to combating poverty, the extensive social media response has overshadowed the event's purpose. We understand the decision to cancel this event, and we hope it will be rescheduled soon. We understand the decision to cancel the event. It's like they're not making the decision. You made it. We understand. They can't even speak English, or they're talking like Brandon Johnson. I mean, they're talking in like riddles. Who made the decision to cancel? Whose decision do you understand? Anyway, I digress. So the poverty simulation event is canceled. Oh heavens! Don't you feel bad about ridiculing these wonderful ladies in Highland Park who put this together? No, I don't. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
So you get your own, like to give you a link card or something like that, a phony link card, so you can.
I don't know
how to use a link card, or.
I am not. I don't pretend to be down with this struggle, so I don't know the role playing that goes on at these events. I have not attended. Full disclosure, pillory me if you will. I have not attended a poverty simulation event. To have these important conversations that lead to solutions for poverty. So I don't know role playing. I don't know if there is like it is a simulation. I don't know if it's like like using a link cord at a grocery store. I mean, you're just doing it. You're just gathering at this Highland Park Country Club.
Yeah, it was at the Highland Park Country Club.
It's an event space there.
Yeah, but still, I mean, a country club, that the optics of that are just.
you want to have crucial conversations to combat poverty in a safe space.
That's a golf course, like I assume that.
I don't think it's a golf course. Actually,
it's not.
I think it's just an event space now. But it's very nice. I looked at online at this place, and it looks like a very Tony event place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think you would have been very comfortable there.
What is it?
Except for the people.
Yeah.
What do you think about the poverty simulation as a way to start community conversations that are crucial to combating poverty? I'm using their language.
You start the conversation again. Then you can talk about all the social ills. You can certainly talk about racism. They love to talk about racism and how people are.
Well, they're on the front lines of that fight in Highland Park.
It's victimhood, man. You get to really immerse yourself into victimhood, to be a victim, what it's like to be a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's a victim these days. If you can be a victim, then you know how it feels to be a victim.
It'd be fun like to go to one of those with you, because I just would like to count how many times one of these ghastly champagne socialists in Highland Park who look like Matsui. I'm talking about the women.
Mm-hmm.
How many times
Matsui, the fullback?
Yeah, fullback.
Yeah.
How many times they would turn to you and say, "Charles, you're black. How does that make you feel?" Charles, you're black. You can pick that up for less than $14 million now.
Right.
And I think that would be a good place to put up a tent city. Why not the village of Highland Park, buy Jordan's place and make it a tent city? That's combating poverty.
That's combating poverty, man.
What about
they get to
Ravinia?
Is that in Highland Park? Ravinia's in Highland Park.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey,
that's a great spot.
Cancel the concert series and make it a tent city, or include you know, the residents of the tent city at Ravinia, winterized base camps, as BLM Brandon said, they could enjoy the musical offerings for the rest of the season at Ravinia. What's wrong with that? Picnics and so forth. I mean, I'm sure the residents of the North Shore, pack up their little picnic baskets and blankies and their chairs, and they got the whole setup with brie and Chardonnay. I'm sure they would love
brie, Jordan. Then they could put some Flamin' Hots in there because that way they could sort of simulate the whole, urban experience.
Charles, you're black. Have you ever had brie? Those would be like those conversations.
Have you ever had brie?
Yeah, that would be like a conversation with you. Because they're so interested in learning more about different cultures and people and integrating.
Well, I wouldn't have what you get on that charcuterie plate.
Oh, charcuterie!
Like I said, you have
charcuterie.
your Flamin' Hots, and then you have some of that squeezed cheese that they use on the the meat thing that over the chips.
Yeah,
you've seen that.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
Oh, sure.
You've seen that.
Yeah, I've seen
so
it.
You've had some experience.
Yeah.
Being in the hood.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that you could do.
It would be a wonderful cultural exchange, and that's what these ladies of Highland Park want, is cultural exchange.
Man, I would love to hear them explain this whole event and and why it's important and why they're doing it. Who actually sat in a room and planned this?
Well, first of all, you're at a private space. Why is the event being canceled? Because some people are rightly ridiculing you. If it's so important to you, you can't stand a little opposition, a little ridicule because of the obvious virtue signaling, self-indulgent nature of this whole thing. You just cancel it altogether. Oh, it's not safe anymore. It's nonsense. Nobody wants to disrupt your event. Go have your poverty simulation. In fact, people want to attend just so they can experience, so they can report back to us, and we can have more fun at your expense. That's fine. Nobody's going to hurt you. Nobody's going to prevent you from doing your poverty simulation and having your important, crucial community conversations about combating poverty. Go ahead.
Do they have booths there? Like you go from this booth to that booth?
I don't.
Maybe you go to the.
Well, this is why we wanted the event to take place, so we could find out exactly what it all entails. I mean, the problem is, of course, that sunlight burns the bloodsuckers, and so this came out into the sunlight. Now it's negative misinformation, and it's no longer safe, and we're afraid. What are you afraid of? It's so important. I mean, you live in a bubble. If it's so important to you, then do your little event. Nobody's going to be disrupted. Nobody cares. They're just such cowards. I mean, that's the thing that's really attendant to. It's not just the left, but it's particularly the left. I mean, they're just such abject cowards. They cannot stand any confrontation. I mean, intellectual confrontation. They just cannot take it. They just wilt. They run because they can. They can get away with it. But look. This whole thing has been great. I'm so glad they at least made the effort to do this. Jan in Hoffman Estates.
Hello.
Hey, Jan.
Hello. Hey, listen. I think they're missing the whole point. They should be looking at the Bible and their churches, and they should be satisfied with whatever they have and do the best they can to make themselves a better people. Instead of looking for entitlements and everything. And if they want to have a poverty thing, then just move into one of the alleys in the city and start taking out of the garbage. If they want to look at abject poverty, but we don't have people in.
Thanks for the call, Jan. Nancy in Northbrook.
Hey guys, couple things about Highland Park. Highland Park Country Club is Park District.
Oh, well, fine. Okay, so it's public. So have a cop there if you're so scared. I mean, there's no reason to cancel the event is my point.
The other thing I wanted to let you know about Highland Park is a synagogue is planning a Shabbat drag queen story hour in Highland Park.
Of course. Thanks for the call. Of course they are.
It's keep coming.
They want to have crucial community conversations about combating transphobia.
Oh,
There'll be light refreshments there.
This is, there's hope, and then there's despair. Man, you see there's a bright light. Well, I think it's a positive that this thing was canceled, obviously, and they had this outpouring of saying we don't want this, and you got to be encouraged by that. But then she calls and says they're about to have a drag queen story hour at the synagogue. Man, it's like
I know. I wish. Because this is all about black and brown people. This is all about honkies wanting to, sort of assuage their guilt, however misplaced it is, about their station in life versus the station in life of black and brown people on the west and south sides of Chicago, for example. That's what this is. I wish, I wish? I wish more people who they think they serve as spokespeople for would stand up and say, would you just stop? Stop patronizing me. You're not my spokesperson. I don't need a Highland Park minder on my life. Just take care of your own business. And stay the frack out of mine.
Dan, I think that may have happened. The people who made these calls up there and told them that, hey, knock it off. Like, what are you doing? And they had such a volume of calls that they canceled it. I mean,
maybe
really.
I just wish people would do it publicly. That too. It's just like, honestly, are you that out of touch? Are you that up your own hindside that you think simulating poverty for 2 hours at a Park District event space in Highland Park is like living in poverty for even a month? And it's like this is going to spark some crucial conversations or novel policy ideas. Are you kidding? Would you get over yourselves? Go read a book. Go learn. Like we talked about yesterday. There's poverty. Yeah, poverty in Lake County. Yeah, Waukegan and North Chicago. Go work at a soup kitchen. Go volunteer at a school. Go be a big brother, big sister, or go support school choice programs, not just for Stacey Davis Gates.
A lot of these white folks
honestly,
too, Dan, they should just take a trip to Grundy County, go downstate Illinois, some of those small towns. You're going to see a lot of poverty there. In fact, you're going to find you got more in common. A black person living in the city of Chicago has more in common with a rural white person in Illinois than they might think.
Yeah, it's hillbilly elegy.
I'm telling you, they got the drug problem. They got the schools are falling apart in many of these
as are the
rural
families.
Counties. Family issues. They got the same problems.
Well, that's why it's not a white-black thing.
It isn't. It is absolutely not a white.
But this
absolutely not.
But when you have to deal with these dum-dums, you have to decouple from the Highland Park Mafia. These movement Marxists in their ivory towers and their Park District spaces. You have to decouple from them if you want to get anywhere. Frank in Arlington Heights.
Hey, good morning. Just to add to what Charles said, that's exactly what Jason Whitlock was talking about in his interview with RFK Jr. How when he heard Trump, how he basically saw some of his supporters. He says, I have more in common with this type of person than some of these other liberals and so forth. So very true. But Highland Park, Dan, or this whole simulation thing, I think it's higher level. I think it's very esoteric. I think they're I think a lot of them are trying to analyze a very hard book to analyze, which is Being in Time by Martin Heidegger. And he posits in there that we all have he calls it Design, a German word. And there was a word which he said, when you are born, you're thrown into your being. It's called thrownness is our translation of it. And so that's what you do in a simulation. You put yourself in you got to think of yourself like a little dot when you're born. And going forward, you've got like a dot with headlights and you see into the future and it's all misty. You don't know what the hell it is. And then you have to go back in time to see what the archetypes are for you to be able to to be yourself. So, it's very hard stuff to understand. It took me years to really completely figure it out. But that's what they might be doing over there. They might be trying to figure out what thrownness is like. Dan, I think you have to give them a little more credit.
Yeah, right. They're all existentialists from the Heidegger school. That's what's really happening in Highland Park. By the way, wasn't Heidegger Hitler Youth?
I don't know. I mean, I know he was more like the early 1900s to 1910s is when he wrote some of his stuff. Being a time I think was in the 19-teens, and then they got older. The Nazis came in, so I don't know what happened with all that aspects of it.
Yeah.
But he might have been a Hitler. I don't think it's Hitler Youth. No, it
would have been youth, and maybe later in life when he actually had some standing as an academic. Yeah, I think I'm recalling that may be inaccurate. I don't know, but when we're talking, we were talking about National Socialism. We were talking about Highland Park, so I was just.
I know. No, it may not, but at the same time, just the philosophy of it and so forth. So just thrownness. It's like it is something to think about. So
there is something very existentialist about Highland Park in terms of the, more of the Sartre or Camus perspective that life is absurd.
Perhaps it's more Camus.
Yeah,
maybe it is. Yeah.
I tell you, this is why I'm sad the poverty simulation was canceled, because we could have had a great discussion about Camus versus Heidegger, for example. And I'm sure as educated as the people in Highland Park they would have had a lot of insight on that discussion. It's a real shame, real missed opportunity. Thanks for the call, Frank. Steve, Southside.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Just wanted to say that isn't this poverty simulation, wouldn't that be also similar to cultural appropriation?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's play acting. I mean, isn't that what cultural appropriation is? If you don somebody's cultural clothing, even for a wedding, people get called out when you're like part of the wedding party. They get called out, if it's like an Indian wedding and you do something out of respect to the couple being married and their families and so forth. Oh, yeah, and you're a honky. Oh my God, he's appropriating the Indian culture. Yeah, it's just I guess.
Whose culture?
Well,
they're appropriating.
Well, that's the point. Poverty isn't white or black, but
absolutely not.
But to Steve's point, what do those Highland Park ladies think it is?
Exactly. I mean, which goes back to the point I tried to make, that it isn't about black people or brown people or any racial thing. It's poverty, and it's all over the state. In fact, it's increasing in the state, maybe at a faster rate in the rural suburban areas than it is in the city of Chicago among black and brown people.
Well, maybe we can do this poverty simulation next fall, because now this year is spent, because everybody in Highland Park will be in Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach for the rest of the year into the spring. So we'll try again next year. Coming up at 6:36, we'll talk to Oren Cass, Executive Director of American Compass. Where are the secure jobs is the question. Oren Cass has an answer at 6:36. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
62 degrees at 6:31. Heavy rain in Hong Kong and southern China overnight. Flooded streets and subway stations, halting transportation. And severe rainstorms ease, but flood waters continue to rise in parts of central Greece. Military helicopters are plucking people from village roofs. A military camp in Mali's violent north has been attacked a day or two after separate assaults by al-Qaeda-linked insurgents killed 49 civilians and 15 soldiers. President Biden is joining other leaders from around the world this week in India for the G20 summit. But the question this morning is, will the U.S. press be able to report on what's going on? Fox's Jill Nato has some doubts.
Reporters on board Air Force One peppered White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre with questions about access. At previous summits, press access would be restricted by the host country or by other world leaders. That would mean American reporters didn't always get to see what the American president may be doing at crucial meetings. but the press secretary tried to be reassuring.
We are doing our darndest, doing our best to do everything that we can to get you access.
She also said that limited press access is something every administration has had to deal with at these types of summits. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's pick to be Chicago's next police superintendent is asking for the public's help in solving the city's crime issues. Chief Larry Snelling took questions during a public hearing last night, calling on the public to be partners with CPD, especially in the illegal migrant crisis.
I would like to see somebody step in with a humanitarian effort and step up and help out these children and these families who are suffering while sleeping on the floor of a district.
Meantime, nearly 1,600 migrants seeking asylum in the U.S. will be relocated from Chicago police stations to winterized camps with massive tents under a plan by Mayor Brandon Johnson. Detectives are looking into a string of at least 3 robberies that happened minutes apart at Chicago Northside businesses. The crimes began late Wednesday night. Authorities revealing the cause of death of a 3-year-old child who died last month on board a bus of asylum seekers heading from Texas to Chicago. The coroner in Marion County says an autopsy determined Gismary Gonzalez died of bacterial infection in her intestines and pneumonia from travel. Gonzalez passed away August 10th while on a charter bus traveling along I-57 through southern Illinois. And look what's on the rise in the suburbs. High school girls flag football. Now, Willowbrook is among 109 Illinois high schools participating this fall. The short list also consists of Addison Trail, Dundee Crown, Fenton, Grayslake North, Larkin, Libertyville, Maine West, Round Lake, Stevenson, and Streamwood. Illinois girls flag football has now grown to 60 teams statewide, expanding through the western suburbs all the way out to Rockford. Cubs, a 6-2 loss to the Diamondbacks at Wrigleyville, still a firm hold on an NL wildcard spot and 2 games back of Milwaukee. White Sox take on the Tigers. Bears opening the 2023 season against Green Bay Sunday at Soldier Field. Right now, no major injuries to begin the year. High school football tonight. Big one, number 3 Loyola will take on number 18 Marist, and number 9 Maine South is at number 10 Palatine. The news service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free, 560theanswer.com/podcast. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
Weaving its way through the heart of the Holy Land is a well-worn path that once felt the footsteps of our biblical faith heroes, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, King David, and Jesus. Join David Friedman and Mike Pompeo for a sacred journey of hope along Route 60, the biblical highway. It's a close-up look at the land of the Bible as you've never seen it. In theaters September 18th and 19th, it's Route 60, the biblical highway. Get tickets now at Route60.movie. That's Route60.movie.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and want to see what Salem Surround can do for you, visit surroundchicago.com. Remember to visit surroundchicago.com today.
Are your wiper blades chattering, skipping, or squeaking? Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts and they'll install them for free. Stop by today or learn more at O'ReillyAuto.com.
6:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center Time, a service of Blindster.com. Blindster.com can help you save big on custom faux wood blind shutters, cellular shades, and more. And right now, save 50% off any order during their Labor Day sale at Blindster.com. Eden's inbound 19 Lake Cook Road to the junction. Kennedy inbound 45 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Let's jump on the tri-state. Solid traffic southbound due to a rollover semi that's being yanked out of your way. 2 left lanes are blocked. Southbound 294 between the 82nd toll all the way down to 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, cloudy and 69 today. Partly cloudy, 59 overnight. Partly sunny, beautiful start to the weekend, high 75. 61 at O'Hare, next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig and Leslie Bolano Sunday mornings at 10. Learn more at investwithwmg.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Charles Thomas, former longtime ABC 7 political reporter.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. And, there's a lot of issues to tackle, and the cliche that you can walk and chew gum at the same time is true. You can tackle more than one issue or a basket of issues simultaneously, so you can tackle cultural issues and economic issues and the legal issues of the 2 leading candidates for president in 2024. But maybe you can't cover them with the depth that each demands. Thinking specifically about economic issues and where a lot of Americans are right now in terms of their economic security. Despite the sales job that the big guy is trying to do with Bidenomics, 70% of Americans believe their economic position has deteriorated in the last year. So that's, and I'm not saying this, is the sole responsibility of the president. It never is. Too much blame and too much credit. But certainly Bidenomics has exacerbated, I would argue, exacerbated the deterioration. Which brings me to this piece that Oren Cass wrote about secure jobs. And some of the data that he has in his piece is rather stunning, sobering. And people should be aware of this, too, thinking about the sort of public policy we should expect to be promoted when, well, for example, Republican presidential candidates take the debate stage again later this month, get a little bit more probing questions on matters that relate to the average family's economic security. The people who play by the rules in this country, who get fleeced by a government they finance. That's who I'm talking about, and who I'm most concerned about, frankly. Oren Cass is the executive director of American Compass. He joins us now. Oren, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Good morning.
So first, I guess let's get some definitions set. Where are the secure jobs? What's a secure job?
Well, it's a concept we developed as we were looking, as you just described, at sort of the economic data, which in some senses people say is great. Unemployment rate is low. Look at all the jobs we're creating. But we want to know what kinds of jobs we're creating. And for all the data the government collects and reports, there's very little focus on what those jobs actually are. And so we created a definition. We tried to be sort of pretty modest about it. We said, a secure job should be paying at least $40,000 a year. It should have healthcare benefits. It should have some paid time off. And you should have some predictability in what you're going to be earning and in what your schedule is going to be. And so, the government surveys tens of thousands of people every month. We did a survey of 1,000 workers, but just asked them about the characteristics of their jobs to see. Okay, we know we have lots of jobs, but how many of them actually meet this pretty minimum definition of a secure job?
And the percentages of college degreed and non-college degreed who meet that secure job threshold, where you just described 40 grand and some decent benefits and scheduling predictability?
Yeah, so overall for all jobs, it's less than half. And then if you particularly zoom in on the majority of Americans who don't have a college degree, it's less than a third. So for Americans without a college degree, only about 30% of workers actually have a secure job.
Which is, I think, a number that would surprise people. $40,000, that's not making a ton of money right now, particularly with prices at the pump and in grocery stores. And to have a majority of workers in this country under that threshold probably would surprise most people, don't you think?
I think so. We were certainly surprised by it. I think there's always sort of a focus on narrow segments of our economy that we think of as kind of stereotypically bad jobs. And, you think of, fast food workers or retailer. There are segments that people focus on. And conversely, any economy is going to always have some jobs that look like that. And frankly, you're going to have some workers for whom that might even be what they're looking for or what's appropriate. I mean, if you think about, you do want to have jobs out there that teenagers
yeah, of course.
take also. So
yeah.
The point isn't that we should be at 100% secure jobs, but I think it's really important to think about this, not as, if somebody doesn't have a good job, well, it must be their own fault that they didn't get a better one, but that structurally it's just how our economy performs and what kinds of jobs our economy creates just does not line up right now with our aspiration and our expectation for supporting a strong middle class.
Well, and to that statement, you have this data point that's even more surprising. 40% of recent college graduates are underemployed. 40%. The United States is producing bachelor's degrees at twice the rate the economy is producing jobs classified as requiring one. It's interesting. The caddy I had the other day playing golf, this really sharp kid who just graduated with a degree in computer science, and he's looking for a job right now, and he's caddying in the interim and stuff. Hopes the job market improves a little bit in the first part of the year. But so here's a kid with a STEM degree, very sharp. He must have done very well in school. I mean, you can just tell when you talk to somebody. And he's not moving right from college into the workforce, and that's the expectation, particularly when you get a degree in that discipline.
Yeah, and that's something that we see, again, generally, and for decades now. We have this idea, whatever's wrong in our economy, we're going to solve with education. If we just sort of prepare everybody better, then everybody will have a great outcome. And certainly, there's a piece of it that's all about both making sure we have a good education system. It is about the personal responsibility of people to prepare themselves, to go out and find a job, to work hard. Certainly we have to emphasize all of that, but we also have to recognize that that's not going to be enough, that you also have to have an economy that's creating the kinds of jobs. And right now,
so detail. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, detail. I mean, reconcile that for us. What as much detail as you can provide. What is happening there 40% underemployed, twice the rate of bachelor's degrees as jobs classified as requiring one. I mean, that may be a good thing in terms of jobs that really shouldn't require a bachelor's degree, no longer mandating it, so forth. But it sounds like it's no, you have a glut of people that are coming out of college and there's no place for them.
Well, that's well put, and I think speaks to a big mistake we've made, which is that in assuming, well, if we can just get more people college degrees, we'll solve the problems, without thinking about what college is actually good for, what it prepares people for, and what we need out there. We've in a sense way overinvested in college. We converted our education system into this college for all model. If you think about what we ask of our high schools, they're basically supposed to be college prep academies at this point. And simultaneously, we pretty much cut off any other option. I mean, we have much less effective career and technical education than we used to. Employers, I don't think, do the same kind of investment in taking a kid out of high school and training them with basic skills. And so we simultaneously have this glut of college graduates, and we also are doing a really terrible job of all the other ways we could prepare people for work. And so I think it's really a fundamental rethink we need in what we aspire to for the economy, what is practical to accomplish, and what's actually going to prepare people and set them up to build lives.
So you also tackle the sort of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce position that we need robust immigration to bring people into this country who want to work and will, you know the phrase, do the jobs that Americans won't do. Is that true?
Well, I think it's a huge problem that this is the attitude in the business community and something that politicians accept. I mean, that phrase, jobs Americans won't do, in addition to just like on its surface, I think being kind of gross, more philosophically is just bad economics. I mean, employers are only going to create jobs Americans won't do if they think they're going to get to find other people to do the jobs instead. And so I think it's actually really helpful to use that as a starting point to find a path out, to think about how we can do better. And that's where we focus a lot at American Compass, is on this question of just how do we get capitalism working better for everybody? How do we make it so the same things that businesses are going to want to do, that is going to provide the most profit, are also the kinds of things that create good jobs for Americans?
But
supplying businesses with as much cheap immigrant labor as they want is exactly the opposite of that.
But now the flip side, I mean, you have to include the government here, and you do in your piece. You have this phrase that's rather, sadly comical. The economy is creating great jobs, we're told, but also people would rather rely on food stamps, Medicaid, and a disability check than take one. So there's sort of a dichotomy there, to say the least. But the flip side is including the government in terms of something that is distorting government policy, distorting the labor market. I have a friend who's got like a corporate cleaning business, schools and office buildings and so forth. And I mean, he can't get people to work for a wage that he can afford to pay them and still make money on these contracts that he has with these corporations and school districts and so forth. And I mean, you're not talking about slave wages. You're talking about certainly above minimum wage, $22 an hour. And he just can't find people, so much so that in his 60s now, he and his wife have had to do a lot of the work that they're really not in shape to do anymore. And so the small business person that's in that position, what do you say to that person? What is happening that is putting that person in the predicament I described?
Well, so the first question I would ask is, are those secure jobs? I mean, it sounds like $22 an hour, we're maybe right on the edge of hitting $40K a year. Is he offering benefits and paid time off? Is he offering predictable schedule and predictable pay? We sort of started the discussion appalled that we don't have more secure jobs, but if the way a small business is, if that business model is one that says we can't offer secure jobs, then that's a real problem. Now,
No, that's not it. And by the way, he used to have, people. He used to not have very much turnover at all. I mean, just to again use this as an example, because I don't think he's alone in this. Used to not have much turnover. Now he has trouble finding anybody, and so that's a real shift. So there's something going on, and you hear this from other small businesses. There's something going on that's more than that. Even as they maybe if they were on the edge before, they've tightened their own belt buckles and moved to, now I'm at $25-$30 an hour. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So they're trying to adapt to the labor market to make themselves more attractive and still struggling to find people. So, I mean, government has to be part of the conversation here, government policy.
Well, I definitely agree on that point about government policy, and I think it comes from both sides in that I think there's both things that government does that's very counterproductive. We were just talking about, for instance, if you have safety net programs that are generous if you're not working, but the benefits quickly fall away if you do work, then it's not just that government is supporting people and not working, it's that we're actively penalizing people if they start working, and that's obviously a very bad design. I think it's for conservatives in particular, though. I think we've been overly focused in the past on thinking this is just a problem of government being in the way, and if we could just get government out of the way, everything would work great. And that's where I think the secure jobs point is so important, is to recognize that what the government's doing is not preventing people from creating secure jobs. We have real problems in the way our market is working that is not leading to the creation of the kinds of jobs we want. And as much as we love free markets, there's no actual basis for believing, well, if we just leave it to the free market, suddenly the secure jobs will emerge. And so something I think we have to focus a lot more on is question of, okay, well, what kinds of public policies not just are going to get out of the way where things are bad, but what are the things public policy can actually do that is going to lead to the creation of more of the kinds of secure jobs that we want?
Well, give me an example of one of the things that we should be thinking about.
Well, so we just talked in the context of immigration, and alongside that, I think globalization is sort of the flip side of immigration, right? Immigration, if you think about it, is, well, how do you bring in more workers to do something Americans aren't doing? Globalization is, well, how do you take the work and bring it to people elsewhere instead of doing it in America? And so in both these ways, what we've done is sort of created a set of signals for businesses and investors that say, look, your goal is to turn a good profit. Here are some really great ways to turn a profit that don't involve creating secure jobs. In fact, it might be more profitable to eliminate all of your secure jobs and do something else instead. And so whereas we always think of the free market, we say, well, just getting all restrictions out of the way leads to the freest market. If that free market is, for instance, connected to China's, and now whatever China's doing is going to influence how our businesses behave, you can get really bad results. So I think public policy needs to do a much better job of focusing American businesses and American investors on how do we make money in America and how do we do it with American workers. And so having a sane immigration system that is actually enforceable and that actually makes sure we're not just flooding the low end of the labor market, I think is important. And then also having trade policies that say, look, trade is good. We want to be making things here that we trade for things people make elsewhere. But we're not going to keep doing this thing where we just let everything be offshored elsewhere and then get, the stuff gets sent back here and we just make less stuff here. That leads to lots of cheap stuff, and people like cheap stuff. But if it destroys a lot of secure jobs in the process, then we're not actually better off in the long run.
Oren Cass is the executive director of American Compass. Oren, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, this was great. Thank you.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
You want your child to come back from school hating God, America, and you? If the answer is no, the solution is St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard. Hi, I'm the man, Cal. Look, I'm a Christian guy with 2 daughters out in this world, and it can get very scary. St. John's Lutheran School Lombard is the only school in all of Illinois that offers the Hillsdale College curriculum for kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a game changer, a nurturing environment with a Christian faith, traditional values, and critical thinking that teaches kids to think for themselves, not what to think. What a great thing to do for your child or grandchild. Strong academics with the Hillsdale curriculum and strong character. Go to stjohnslombard.com. That's Saint, S-T, johnslombard.com. stjohnslombard.com. It's in Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, and all places nearby. stjohnslombard.com.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having nationwide access with an annual deductible of only $226. There are only 2 good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor, C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com, is someone I know and trust. He's a 28-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and ABC7 political reporter emeritus Charles Thomas in for Amy this morning. Coming up at 7:07, we will speak with former acting attorney general of the United States, Matt Whitaker. Amy wants us to make sure we mention he also played tight end for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Barf. Anyway, Matt Whitaker on Hunter Biden's legal travails as well as the former president, 7:07. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
A strike called by union officials at suburban elder care facilities. The Blackhawks to retire Chris Chelios' number. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
Setting the agenda. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. President Biden's due to land in India next hour for the G20 World Leaders Summit focused on the world economy, climate change, and energy, and Russia's war in Ukraine.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the president is committed to working with emerging market partners and that there's a belief that other countries could benefit from, as he put it, copying how President Biden rebuilt the American economy.
And that's one of our main focuses heading into the G20, delivering on an agenda of fundamentally reshaping and scaling up the multilateral development banks, especially the World Bank and the IMF.
The presidents of China and Russia will not attend the summit. Both of those countries are in the BRICS group, which recently met and extended invitations to 6 more countries, including Iran. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Hurricanes getting stronger fast out over the Atlantic.
Hurricane Lee became a dangerous explosive Category 5 overnight. Will safely miss the Caribbean this weekend, but the East Coast needs to monitor Lee's path for potential direct or indirect impacts next week.
Fox meteorologist Janet Steen there. It's now more than a week since a convicted murderer escaped from prison in Pennsylvania.
Danilo Cavalcante is believed to have been spotted multiple times since his August 31st escape from the Chester County Prison. Pennsylvania State Police Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens says he thinks searchers are closing in, but each day Cavalcante evades them raises the risk to residents.
I believe he becomes more desperate. I believe he has always been very dangerous, and I've said that from the start. He's already murdered 2 people, one in Brazil and one here, in a very brutal manner.
People are urged to call police if they spot him and not confront Cavalcante on their own. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Former President Trump holds a rally in South Dakota today where he's expected to be endorsed by Governor Kristi Noem. America's listening to Fox News.
62 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Brandon Johnson's picked to be Chicago's next police superintendent. He's asking the public for help in solving the city's crime issues. Chief Larry Snelling took questions during a public hearing last night, calling on the public to be partners with the CPD, especially in the illegal migrant crisis.
I would like to see somebody step in with a humanitarian effort and step up and help out these children and these families who are suffering while sleeping on the floor of a district.
The hearing was required before the city council can vote on his nomination. Chicago Teachers Union President Stacey Davis Gates is offering a weak response to sharp criticism over her son attending a private Catholic school on Chicago's South Side. In a letter, Gates said she was forced to send her son to private school due to lack of opportunities for extracurriculars like soccer in neighborhood public schools, adding that options for black students on the South and West Sides are limited. Critics continue to call her decision hypocritical because of her outspoken criticism of private school education. Illinois health officials are optimistic COVID-19 outbreaks this winter will not be severe. During a meeting with health departments from around the state, Artie Barnes, the chief medical officer with the IDPH, said it appears hospital admissions in the state have already peaked.
I'm not going to go as far as say that we're not going to see another second wave coming up deeper into the winter, but at least it looks like this is one slightly reassuring piece of news.
Barnes says wastewater treatment testing shows there's no real dominant strain of coronavirus now in Illinois. Chris Chelios is being honored by the Blackhawks during a Pearl Jam concert at the United Center last night. Lead singer Eddie Vedder told the crowd the Hawks will be retiring Chelios' number 7 jersey on February 25th. Chicago native will be the 9th player in franchise history to have his number retired. Cubs managed just 5 hits in a 6-2 loss to the Diamondbacks, but they still have a firm hold on a National League wildcard spot and sit 2 games back of Milwaukee in the NL Central. White Sox begin a weekend series against the Tigers tonight. College football, Fighting Illini aim to stay undefeated when they visit Kansas at Memorial Stadium there tonight. The 2 teams haven't played each other since 1968. The Illini a slight underdog. The news, a service of Star Case. When you need to protect your valuable equipment, put it in a Star Case, the most dependable road cases you can buy. Go to starcase.com to order your case now. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum is confident about Trump.
4 indictment Trump championship, which is pretty much making fun of these fake indictments. Trump is going to win the championship on those. The gut feeling that I have based on the totality of circumstances is that Trump probably didn't do none of this stuff. It's all a witch hunt. They thought it would hurt his chances, and it just made him bigger and powerful. Then he's turned into the Incredible Hulk now.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you really want to take shots the rest of your life just to lose weight? NJ Diet's typical results are twice as fast as weight loss injections without any of the side effects. Plus, you learn proper portion control and develop healthy eating habits for the rest of your life. By the end of NJ Diet's 40-day program, you will lose 20 to 40 plus pounds, contractually guaranteed. You will lose the weight and keep it off the natural way. NJ Diet uses your hair, saliva, and blood work along with scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone. Then, NJ Diet uses your DNA info to help you keep the weight off. Locations locally in Skokie and Oakbrook or available with live online video consultations. Don't take shots the rest of your life. Lose weight quickly the natural way with NJ Diet. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password, for you to become a victim. LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
7:07, quick update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of MyPillow. MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock for a limited time, 50% savings with promo code Liberty. Kennedy right now is sitting at 54 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. And on the Tri-State Tollway, due to an earlier accident, stop and go southbound between Archer all the way to past 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Mostly cloudy in your forecast today, high 69. Currently 61. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by NJ Diet. Lose 20 to 40 pounds in just 40 days. Call 855-NJ-DIET or NJDiet.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, Charles Thomas, former ABC 7 political reporter.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. And we're pleased to be joined by Matt Whitaker, who's the former acting attorney general of the United States. He played, more importantly, he played tight end for the University of Iowa Hawkeyes, who I believe have Iowa State tomorrow in state rivalry. He's also the author of Above the Law, the inside story of how the Justice Department tried to subvert President Trump. Matt Whitaker, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. It's good to be with you again. Sorry, I only have a few minutes today.
No problem. I know you got to get prepared for the big game tomorrow.
Schedule, yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I got to watch a lot of film.
So, did you have the occasion to interact with David Weiss while you were Attorney General?
Yeah, I did. You know, he was the U.S. Attorney up in Delaware.
Right.
So
What kind of guy was he? Is he?
So typically a U.S. attorney is a fairly dynamic individual because they've had to run the traps to get the political appointment in their home district, and so they're typically very gifted politicians, but also really good lawyers. And with David, he was a little different. He was much more cerebral. He had come out of the office. You know, he was certainly a friendly guy, but he just wasn't the same as most of the U.S. attorneys that I interacted with. Now, I didn't have a deep interaction with him. It was just when we would get together with the U.S. attorneys, and it's a group, because I was a U.S. attorney and the Bush administration had a certain affinity for it, understood that we could get a lot of our policies done through and with the U.S. attorneys.
What is your read then on his performance with this Biden probe? Now, especially now that he's special prosecutor. I mean, is it what it appears to be, that this forthcoming indictment on gun charges is a farcical cover for the flop of this plea deal they tried to arrange previously?
Yeah, well, when I was U.S. attorney, I would have never done this deal that they're doing with him, and so we're proposed to do the diversion together with the misdemeanors and letting the statute of limitation run on the most serious charges on the tax case. And so, I questioned right there from the start what was happening as part of the investigation. The whistleblowers have given us a pretty clear picture as to what's going on with him. And, I think that this seems like a sweetheart deal. I don't think anybody becomes U.S. attorney without some involvement from the Bidens in Delaware because they just control the politics up there so significantly.
Yeah. So do you anticipate that he? I mean, is your read, even from afar, that he is going where the facts lead now that he's been sort of publicly humiliated, at least among half the population, perception-wise, that he's going to go wherever this goes beyond Hunter Biden, even to the big guy?
No. Come on. I mean, this is not kind of what's happening.
I'm just asking. You know,
it was a philosophical question more than anything. But yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see this is a different route to the same result. It's trying to get Hunter off with the least consequential charges. And so, you know, if they were really doing this case, you know, they would be talking about the Foreign Agent Registration Act. They'd be talking about the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and they'd be talking about, you know, they would have done the tax cases. So, I mean, this is going to just be, as we call it in Iowa, lipstick on a pig.
Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State in the state of Georgia, had an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal this week. I can't keep Trump off the ballot. Anyone who believes in democracy must let the voters decide. Former Attorney General Michael Mukasey has a piece where he argues that Article 3 of Section of the 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause, that the left and some on the right are suggesting could disqualify the president from running for office, is a complete misread of that provision. I mean, what is your opinion about the cases that are being made that Trump should be removed, he shouldn't be allowed to run for office, particularly the 14th Amendment claim?
Yeah, I think Mukasey's right. You know, I typically not always agreed with Michael, but he's certainly a federal judge, and he's learned in not only federal law but especially the Constitution. And the 14th Amendment was passed, you know, right after the Civil War, and you know, everyone understood what an insurrection and a rebellion was at the time. They would have never imagined that would be applied in this case. And you know, I just think it's anybody that thinks that's a serious legal argument is, you know, either a Trump hater or a terrible lawyer. There's really nothing in between in there.
Before we let you go, what legal counsel generally would you provide President Trump with all these trials he's facing, or maybe have you provided him?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I don't represent the president. I'll be with him Saturday at the Iowa State game. But we don't typically get into, you know, his cases because he has lawyers in each and every case. And I would say, you know, he's going to have to fight it like a multi-front battle, like you would in any theater. And that is that he's going to have to rely on his lawyers to, you know, make the tactical decisions. The strategy should be to, you know, a complete win on each front. And in each case, I mean, there are so many novel legal theories, whether that's the application of the, you know, Sarbanes-Oxley Act in the first Jack Smith case, or I mean, actually the second Jack Smith case, or whether it's the RICO, you know, conspiracy statute in the Georgia case. Each case, I think, just has they've just stretched the law beyond its breaking point, and I think, you know, the appeals courts are going to have a heyday, you know, putting these prosecutors back in their box.
He is Matthew Whitaker, former acting AG for the United States, former tight end for the University of Iowa, the author of the book Above the Law, the inside story of how the Justice Department tried to subvert President Trump. Matt Whitaker, thanks as always for joining us. Good luck to your Hawkeyes.
Yeah, we'll do a longer one next time, but thank you. Go Hawks.
Very good. Matt Whitaker joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Greetings, friends. Sebastian Gorka here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and I talking about investing with YRefy for a while. You may have some questions. So let's review. It's true, you can earn up to 10.25% fixed rate of return. That's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There is no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investrefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then REFY.com, or call 888-YREFI24. Friends, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investYREFI.com or call 888-YREFI24 and tell them Dr. G sent you.
Did you know that St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard is the only school in the entire state of Illinois offering the renowned Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum? If you're a parent in Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, or the surrounding areas, and you're searching for an exceptional educational experience for your child, look no further than St. John's Lutheran K-8 school, where academic excellence meets strong Christian values. St. John's partnership with Hillsdale College ensures your child receives a rigorous K-8 academic experience. What sets St. John's apart is they recognize the concerns many parents have about the radical woke agenda infiltrating government schools. That's why they're dedicated to providing a nurturing environment that promotes the Christian faith, traditional values, and critical thinking. The Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum, combined with their focus on Christian faith and character development, is a game changer for your child's education. Learn more at stjohnslombard.com. That's the letters S-T, johnslombard.com. Give your child or grandchild the gift of a faith-based Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum-based education. Again, that's stjohnslombard, stjohnslombard.com.
When this is the sound of a waterfall in nature, there's no cause for concern. But when it's the sound of water gushing through your living room ceiling because a pipe bursts inside the wall, there's reason to panic unless you pick up the phone and call 1-800-SERVPRO. Only the cleanup and restoration specialists at ServPro can help make fire and water damage like it never even happened. So make the call to 1-800-SERVPRO at the first sign of water damage. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Test Director Rick from ServPro, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. It's my job to make sure our pros are prepared for anything. Storm damage? Fixed. Flood damage? We're on it. Fire damage? Not anymore. Aliens? What aliens? We cleaned those sites a while ago. No matter the disaster, our pros will make it like it never even happened. Find out why ServPro is the #1 choice for residential and commercial restoration projects large and small. Visit servpro.com today.
Are you considering a unique way to enhance your investment knowledge this year? Then sign up today for the all-inclusive Eagle Financial Publications Cruise. Along with our trusted partner, The Money Show, we're setting sail this December to explore some of the most beautiful and unspoiled destinations in the Caribbean. But this is no ordinary vacation. It's a chance to learn from top Eagle Financial experts like best-selling authors George Gilder, Mark Skousen, and others who will be hosting a series of workshops and seminars throughout the trip. Imagine lounging on the sun deck while discussing investment strategies with like-minded individuals, or enjoying a gourmet dinner at the same table with one of our leading financial authorities. This once-in-a-lifetime cruise is a perfect way to combine education and relaxation to achieve your investment goals. This cruise will sell out quickly, so visit EagleFinancialCruise.com today to learn more and to secure your cabin. That's EagleFinancialCruise.com. Eagle Financial is a division of Salem Media Group.
Structural foundation problems? Permaseal can help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Last year's severe drought has homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana experiencing symptoms of structural foundation issues. Cracked brickwork or caulking, uneven floors, new cracks in the drywall or ceiling, doors or windows that no longer open or shut properly, or basement walls that are leaning or bowing. All of these can be signs of a structural foundation issue. Too often we hear of homeowners paying for an expensive consultation just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. Our certified structural consultants will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. Life's frustrating enough. Let's fix what we can and avoid even bigger problems. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
Best for being better, Permaseal.
Let's face it, talking about life insurance is never easy. But after we watched a close friend lose her husband with no insurance, we decided that wasn't going to happen to our family.
Yeah, but shopping for life insurance can be almost as difficult as talking about it.
But then we heard about Ethos Life Insurance. They're a new kind of life insurance, built for people on a busy schedule who don't have time for unnecessary doctor's visits, fine print, or hidden fees. You know, who want to keep it simple.
I couldn't believe how easy it was. We answered a few basic questions, and within minutes, we had an estimate of what it would cost and what sort of policy made sense for us.
I never imagined a life insurance could be so affordable.
And accessible.
The peace of mind knowing that our future is secure, it just removes a lot of the fear around getting older and...
Yeah, the unexpected.
I'm glad we talked about it.
I'm glad we went with ethoslife.com.
Go to ethoslife.com now for your free estimate. That's ETHOSlife.com. ETHOSlife.com.
This is Sean Thompson, and I'm proud to tell you about the great work of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, a new partner of ours here at AM 560. Born on America's darkest day of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping America's heroes ever since. When a first responder or military service member doesn't come home and young children are left behind, Tunnel to Towers pays the mortgage on the family home to lift the financial burden and bring stability. For catastrophically injured veterans and first responders, Tunnel to Towers builds mortgage-free smart homes, giving our most severely injured heroes the ability to live more independent lives. You can help America's heroes and their families by supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation when you make a small donation of just $11 a month. Go to T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org. T2T.org.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I just had retired. I'm a union carpenter, so my body was a little wore out. My shoulders were hurting. Like, I eat potatoes and stuff, but I wasn't getting all the vegetables, right? So I started thinking about that. And because there's no compounds, it's just all natural. It's not like vitamins you buy at the store where you read the ingredients and there's like all different things. I don't even know how to pronounce the names that are in these vitamins. But this Balance of Nature is just all natural stuff, no artificial things. So I thought, I'll give that a try. You know, the stuff works. So now you guys made it easy for me to stay healthy.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
There's a battle for our nation going on right now. The question is, who will lead it? Get answers as the Real Life Network televises the Pray, Vote, Stand Summit, September 15th and 16th, with former President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis discussing what it will take for America to get back to greatness. Along with a host of conservative leaders like All-American swimmer Riley Gaines, U.S. Senator Josh Hawley, Dr. Ben Carson, Pastor Jack Hibbs, and more. By the way, if Jack Hibbs is there, I'm there in spirit. He's an exceptional man. Go to reallifenetwork.com now to sign up for free. On the Real Life Network, the gospel is never censored by big tech or the government. With faith-based content, family entertainment, and new shows released weekly. Watch on any device, anywhere, anytime. Don't miss Pray, Vote, Stand, a free online event with Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, and other conservative leaders, September 15th and 16th. Available at reallifenetwork.com or download the app and sign up for free.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Charles Thomas, former ABC7 political reporter, in for Amy J this morning. Charles, you know the old saying from the 80s that a neoconservative is a liberal who's been mugged by reality?
A neoconservative is a liberal, yeah.
Mugged by reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some leftists being mugged by reality these days, and in some cases, literally mugged. Shivanthi Santhandan is the vice chairman of Minnesota's Democrat Farmer Labor Party.
That sounds pretty left.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yesterday, she posted, or maybe this a couple of days ago, but regardless, she posted this picture of her blood dripping from her head. Yesterday, my children and I were violently carjacked in the driveway of our home in Minneapolis. 4 very young men, all carrying guns, beat me violently down to the ground in front of our kids. The young men held our neighbors up against gunpoint when they ran over and tried to help me, all in broad daylight. Look at my face in the picture. This is the face of a mother who had just had the blank beaten out of her, a mother whose only thought was, let me run far enough and fight enough to protect my kids and all that. So it's terrible. I'm sorry that happened to her. Back in June of 2020, so a little more than 3 years ago, the same Shivanthi Santhandan posted this. We are going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. Say it with me. Dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department, with clap emojis. As allies, what can we do now? Listen and learn from our black siblings, then amplify this message right now in this moment. MPD has systematically failed the black community. They have failed all of us. It's time to build a new infrastructure that works for all communities. If you are still disagreeing with that basic fact, I'm not sure what to say to you. Well, I'm not sure what to say to you now, Shivanthi.
Well, is she black?
No, she's Indian American.
Mm-hmm. So she sees the light.
I don't know if she sees the light, but she felt reality good and hard. And now I suppose
upside her head. Huh?
Now I suppose that she wants empathy. Yeah.
What does she want? I mean, I'm reading through this story.
I guess she wants empathy for what happened to her, which I'm happy to buy. I don't want anybody to be carjacked, particularly in front of her kids. Terrible. She suffered a broken leg, lacerations on her head, extensive bruising, as she wrote. She said, "You could have been reading the obituary for me and my children today, but instead I'm here to write this." Yeah, it's a terrible thing. Do you think that your mindless advocacy for dismantling the Minneapolis Police Department has made Minneapolis less safe or more safe? Has made it more likely that people would be victimized by repeat violent criminals like you just felt? I don't know if they were repeat violent criminals, but they were violent criminals. Or has made things better or worse in Minnesota? I know a number of people in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and unsurprisingly, they're saying things have not gotten better since the summer of George Floyd. They've deteriorated further.
You got a lot of armed robberies going on in Chicago now, and I wonder if they're making any difference in many of the neighborhoods, because they're happening in Lincoln Park, Andersonville, Westtown, West Loop, places where liberal strongholds, so to speak.
Well, don't forget, in Minneapolis, it was black residents who sued the city under the city's charter, saying the city was not providing their required police protection under the charter, and they won. So it was black residents in crime-ridden neighborhoods, in part because of people like Miss Shivanthi, saying defund the police and decarcerate criminals. Black residents there said, the hell with that. We want police protection just like any other neighborhood, and they got it. I mean, they won the case. I don't know. Obviously, Minneapolis is deteriorating generally, as most major cities controlled by people like Shivanthi are deteriorating because of the policies they advocated. So we'll see. I don't know if, feeling the full impact of her policy advocacy changes her mind. We'll have to watch and see. But I'll tell you what, we don't have time to get into it now. Maybe Open Mic Friday at the end of the next hour. There's a good piece over at liberalpatriot.com, which is Rui Teixeira's Substack, or blog, I guess, but he also has a Substack. It's official. The Democrats have a non-white voter problem. And he is a Democrat, so he's saying this from a position of wake up. We have to do something about this, or we're going to get hammered next year. He's a Yale-educated Democrat political scientist, and he's got some really interesting data in his piece that we'll try to get to in Open Mic Friday, building on this development in Minneapolis. But coming up at 7:37, we're going to talk to Chuck Barham. He is the Chief Marketing Officer at Freedom Square, freedomsquare.com. You'll learn more about it at 7:37. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
62 degrees at 7:31. Heavy rain in Hong Kong and southern China. Flooded city streets and some subway stations, halting transportation and forcing schools to close. Closer to home, Hurricane Lee, now a Category 5 storm. The National Hurricane Center says rip currents and hazardous surf will spread across the northern Caribbean today and impact the U.S. mainland by Sunday. A military camp in Mali's violent north has been attacked a day after two separate attacks by al-Qaeda-linked insurgents killed 49 civilians and 15 soldiers. Officials in Turkey are struggling to get an American out of a cave after he suddenly got sick on an expedition. Fox's Sean Langell on the rescue effort.
A massive rescue operation is underway to save an American explorer trapped deep below the earth inside a Turkish cave. Crews say Mark Dickey suddenly began to suffer gastrointestinal bleeding while on the expedition roughly 3,000 feet underground. Doctors treating Dicky in the cave say his vomiting had stopped. Besides being difficult to navigate, cave temperatures at these depths is around 39 degrees. Depending on conditions during their ascent, crews say it could take either days or weeks to get Dicky back up to the surface. Sean Blanchard, Fox News.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's picked to be Chicago's next police superintendent, asking the public for help in solving the city's crime issues. Chief Larry Snelling also discussed other topics, including the ShotSpotter contract and accountability for officers who commit misconduct, and promises to be an empathetic leader.
We can't do this unless we do it together. I can't help you if I don't listen to you.
The hearing was required before the city council can vote on his nomination. Authorities are investigating a deadly crash in Homewood. 3-vehicle accident happened Wednesday morning at the intersection of 183rd and Kenzie. Authorities are revealing the cause of death of a 3-year-old child who died last month on board a bus of illegal immigrant asylum seekers heading from Texas to Chicago. The coroner in Marion County says an autopsy determined the young child died of a bacterial infection back on August 10th. And a Joliet church that is currently more than a century old is being ordered to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to the feds. The SEC is demanding that Messiah Lutheran Church pay $300,000, all by November 15. The payment, the result of a lawsuit the SEC filed against a business accused of defrauding investors. The SEC is trying to claw back money the business paid others, including about $700,000 in donations given to Messiah Lutheran back in 2010. The decision could force the shutdown of the church. Cubs lost to the Diamondbacks 6-2. Sox take on the Tigers tonight. And the Fighting Illini battle Kansas tonight. The two teams haven't played each other since 1968. The news, a service of the Pride of Kane County. The Pride stores have 17 locations throughout Chicagoland. Stop by their new location, the Pride of Kane County in St. Charles, on the corner of Kirk and Main. The Pride stores, not your typical convenience store. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees shady business going on.
And so they have this coalition called the BRICS, a bloc of 5 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. One of the things they're talking about in South Africa is the desire to strengthen their currencies and undermine the U.S. dollar, which would make us poor immediately. Poorer and poor immediately.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, folks. Dennis Prager here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and me talking about investing with YRefi for a while now. You may have some questions, so let's review. It's true. You can earn up to a 10.25% fixed rate of return that is not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There is no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investYRefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then refi, REFY.com. Or call 888-YRefi24. Folks, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investYRefi.com or call 888-YRefi24 and tell them Dennis Prager sent you.
Imagine you're on the couch in your living room and one of your kids or grandkids excitedly pulls on your arm, urging you to come play. But instead of feeling exhausted, you practically jump off the couch. To make sure you're keeping up with them, it's crucial to fuel your body with whole fruits and vegetables. Unfortunately, most people don't get enough of these nutritious foods. That's where Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies can help. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies provides your body with the additional nutrition it needs, helping you to embrace all of life's greatest moments with energy. Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Donald Trump warned America. The U.S. dollar is under attack, and it's becoming less and less valuable by the day. Hyperinflation and speculation is killing your retirement. Don't leave your money sitting in cash. It's time you diversified and protected your future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 and get your free digital dollar survival kit and learn how you could get up to $1,000 in free silver today. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 to get your free digital dollar survival kit, and you may qualify for $1,000 in free silver. Advantage Gold is the #1 rated gold and silver company in America. Your future is precious. Protect it today when you call Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Check with your financial advisor before investing.
That's 800-900-8000.
Angie makes it easier than ever to connect with skilled pros to get your home projects done well, from repair to remodel. Get started on the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
7:38. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the Barbecue Authority, your go-to for the largest selection of grills, smokers, and outdoor products. BBQauthority.com. Inbound Edens, 30 minutes Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, an hour 5. O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Ike, 63 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson right now, it's an hour from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Dan Ryan, 37 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy and 69 today. Right now 61. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, former ABC 7 political reporter Charles Thomas. Charles, thanks
Back
for
in the game.
joining us. Yeah, you never left. You just, you don't have to be in it every day like you used to be. That's all.
Yeah, but I get to be a,
Smell the roses guy now.
Yeah, well, I can also, get involved.
Yes, you can do advocacy work.
Definitely.
You didn't do that so much when you were a journalist, because you were a journalist, despite the fact that many of your colleagues have long been in advocacy work.
Well, the
They're
thing
concurrent to their jobs in media.
I don't think I could work in the media today, because I probably would do as I did when I did. I'd come interview you sometimes, and others who don't have a voice anymore in mainstream media because they're racists. It's like, it's terrible.
Yeah. Well, another digital resource for those who are intellectually curious and want to be engaged, that actually goes beyond just news and information. We'll get into that. Is Freedom Square. FreedomSquare.com is the site. I'll just read the description of the site. A digital commonwealth, the Commonwealth, for freedom-loving Americans to access news and info, podcasts, a business network, that's what I want to get into, and a resource center rich in American history and key resources for sustaining our liberty. Our friend Tom Sadeka is involved, as is our friend Chuck Barham, who is the Chief Marketing Officer, and he joins us now. Chuck, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Dan, great to hear you. And Charles, great to hear you on the radio. Always appreciated what you did at ABC 7.
Well, thank you so much.
And they, among other things here, you've got a host, or they have a directory of podcasts of conservatives. And I should mention that I'm starting a podcast. Actually, it's launched. I've got a couple interviews in the can. The first one is with Alex Berenson in conjunction with American Greatness, amgreatness.com, Chris Buskirk's outlet. Very America First in orientation. Anyway, it's called Counterculture, my podcast. We've got Alex Berenson, and then the next one after that will be Patrick Moore, the co-founder of Greenpeace, talking about climate change. So we'll be pushing that out.
I feel like I'm getting pitched here, Dan, to make sure your podcast is on Freedom Square.
I'm not pitching you. I'm demanding. No, of course. So I just, the podcast reminded me I got a new one, and so I guess I should promote it. If I don't blow my trumpet, who will, Chuck?
Exactly.
So give us the vision for Freedom Square beyond that intro I just gave.
Well, I think you did a great job. And the one thing that you can do at Freedom Square, it's absolutely free. Use your email to sign up, and we'll never, ever sell your information. You register, then you create your own profile. You customize your experience. You pick your favorite news sites you want to go to. So instead of going to 10, 11, 12, 13 news sites, as your producer probably does every morning and you guys do to get your information, it's all right there under one umbrella at Freedom Square. Pick your favorite podcast, like Dan Proft's new podcast that we'll be adding once we figure out Counterculture. Once it's up and running, we'll get that up and running for you. But you can customize your experience on Freedom Square. It's a plethora of news, podcasts, resources, and as you alluded to, we've partnered with Job Creators Network to build one of the most robust business networks in America, that it's going to connect like-minded, freedom-loving Americans to consumers and vice versa. Because what it's going to allow consumers to do is say, hey, I need a roofer, I need a plumber, I need a tire repair shop. We're going to be able to light you up with those that are in your area that believe in what you believe in, because we have to start spending money with those that do the good and believe in America and its values.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I mean, to me, that's really interesting, and because it's complicated, especially to localize it. So what is the horizon for that build out where you really can use Freedom Square as sort of one-stop shopping for your daily or semi frequent needs, and be able to go, spend your dollars, as you just said, with like-minded people, which I think people would be inclined to do if they knew.
Correct. And right now we're building the foundation of that inside of freedomsquare.com. If you're a business owner, or you know somebody that is a business owner, or your friend owns a business, I encourage you right now to go in and register your business for free. It's incredibly simple. Create your profile, create your business profile, and you're in. The things that we have coming down, as you said, on the near horizon with Job Creators Network, is we're going to start to open up this entrepreneur's tool chest to give them resources to help be the high tide that rises the ships in the small and medium-sized business world in America. Because right now they're kind of flailing because there's really no help out there that they can connect with each other. So that's why we're building this business network. We're calling it America's Chamber of Freedom. And we want to be that for the businesses, but we want to be that also for the consumers, to find those businesses to spend their dollars with. So it's a big undertaking, but we've got great partners with Job Creators Network. There's some other things that we're going to be laying into freedomsquare.com here in the next couple of weeks and months down the line. But you can download the app for free, you can register for free, and get your business uploaded inside of freedomsquare.com's business network for free right now.
And that Job Creators Network, I mean, that's Bernie Marcus, when you think of global or national, global really, business leaders. And then there's also local business leaders like Gary Rabine involved with that Job Creators Network. So that gives you a lot of, capacity.
Correct. And most people aren't aware that Job Creators Network led the charge and were the tip of the spear up into the Supreme Court on the vaccine mandates. They're the ones that led the charge against having mandates for businesses. They also led the charge in the college loan bailout, and were able to get both of those struck down in the Supreme Court. So they really don't take a lot of credit for what they've done, but we're happy as heck to have them in our camp and partnered with us to help create a very, very large and very active business network that you can sign up right now for free inside of freedomsquare.com.
Is that going to be, I'm just curious about this, is that going to be sort of membership driven? I mean, maybe you have businesses that, look, I own a business, I'm a conservative dude, but I don't want to get into politics. I try and steer clear of that. So I don't want to be on a conservative side. I don't want to be on a liberal side. I just sort of want to stay out of politics. So I'd love to promote my business, but I don't want to be targeted by the left and any fear of like businesses that would list on Freedom Square being targeted by the left, because that does make some people jumpy.
It does, but I think we're not really worried about left or right. We're worried about pro-freedom. We're worried about people that appreciate the God-given rights that we have within our Constitution. We're trying to protect those. And if you're a business owner, you should get out of your cloak and say, look, I need to take a stand, because regardless, they're going to come after you regardless of who you are, what you believe in, and you're probably going to lose business because of it. But we want to give you the outlet to find businesses and to find consumers that want to do business with you. That's been the big problem, is everybody's kind of standing on the sidelines and watching America crumble. We're now giving them an opportunity to get involved, maybe not on a big level, but at least on a level to where they can connect with people that believe and share their values and start spending money with each other.
So the news outlets, the podcast, the business network, you also mentioned a resource center and resources for sustaining our liberty. Is this like a academic library, or what is the resource center vision?
You can rewind the clock 200 plus years and get back into the Federalist Papers and learn what our founding fathers were thinking about and how they were kind of, I guess, judging what was going to happen if they did step out against the empire. It shows the historical values of what's going on with our documents, from the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, anything and everything that's historical is there, so you can learn and teach and relearn, because a lot of people need to relearn what's in the Constitution and why it's so important. But it also gives you resources to go in and see what the national debt clock looks like, what the unemployment looks like, how your congressmen, how your senators are voting for certain things. We have resources in there with Turning Point Action, Prager University, Moms for America is in there. We keep adding to it every day and every week. But it's just a resource library to go to get the facts and really find out what's going on in America and how you could possibly get involved or teach your children, the next generation, why the Constitution is incredibly important and why we need to protect it with everything that we have.
Very good. He is Chuck Barham, Chief Marketing Officer, freedomsquare.com, freedomsquare.com. Again, sign up with your own email, get on their business listing for their business network that they're building out, and, and look for my podcast if they'll have me. Chuck.
Yes, we'll highlight it, Dan. We'll highlight it, I promise you.
Chuck, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you both very much, and I appreciate everything you guys do over at The Answer.
Thank you, sir. Chuck joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password.
For you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now. Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam, and Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
There are more than 50 million people enslaved in the world today. Most of them are women and children.
They lock you in cellars or in rooms with no windows. 95% of girls that are born in the brothels remain trapped in the brothels for the rest of their lives.
SOS International is working to make freedom possible for these women and kids. And with your help, today can be the day another victim comes into freedom.
By the hundreds, we are saving those girls and bringing them to a secure place, a place that is a safe home for them to grow in.
Just $150 makes freedom possible for a trafficking victim. It provides shelter, food, counseling, everything they need to start a new life. Make freedom possible now. Visit 560theanswer.com/SOS. Every day that goes by is another day of suffering and abuse. But you can change it now. You can make today the day of freedom and rescue. Learn how you can bring freedom now at 560theanswer.com/SOS.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I just had retired. I'm a union carpenter, so my body was a little wore out. My shoulders were hurting. Like, I eat potatoes and stuff, but I wasn't getting all the vegetables right, so I started thinking about that. And because there's no compounds, it's just all natural. It's not like vitamins you buy at the store where you read the ingredients and there's like all different things. I don't even know how to pronounce the names that are in these vitamins. But this Balance of Nature is just all natural stuff, no artificial things. So I thought, I'll give that a try. You know, the stuff works. So now you guys made it easy for me to stay healthy.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and ABC 7 political reporter emeritus Charles Thomason for Amy this morning. And Charles, I didn't have a chance to go over the Labor Day weekend, but the Socialism 2023 conference was, of course, in Chicago at McCormick Place. Did you have a chance to attend?
No, I didn't make it, but I heard about it. It was in a library or something like that, right?
Well, McCormick Place.
McCormick Place.
Yeah. But sure, this is base camp. I mean, obviously, Labor Day being a Marxist holiday, it's good to do it over Labor Day weekend. You know, I was particularly interested in resisting carceral saneism, that breakout session. Resisting carceral saneism.
Carson, you got to help me with that one.
That's the way that's the systemic racism in the prison system.
Systemic racism
in the justice system, carceral.
Oh,
carceral sanism.
Oh,
That's a fun phrase.
That's a fun phrase. That's another issue
Mhm.
we need to deal with.
Yeah.
If we're woke.
I also was interested in the poetics of social movements with Robin D.G. Kelly. I hear she's very good. Is it a she?
Robin D.G. Kelly.
Robin D.G. Kelly. I don't think it's the congresswoman.
It's not the same.
No.
Robin Kelly.
No. Yeah, that would have been good. The far right, border abolition and anti-fascism in crisis with Brendan O'Connor. I heard that was very good. Not a dry eye in the house there.
How big was the house? Did they get a big crowd?
I don't know. It's funny you mentioned that. I didn't get really any perspective on that, but maybe we get some perspective from the performance of Emily Drabinski. Emily Drabinski is the newly minted president of the American Library Association.
Yeah, that's why I got library involved.
Yeah. American Library Association. She was elected on notions of queerness and prevent, quote, angry white mob parents from trying to block the efforts to reorient children's libraries to be more centered on notions of queerness.
Notions of queerness.
Notions of queerness.
Man, you're like, what is a notion of queerness?
Well, first of all, it was my garage band. We were an Erasure cover band, and I tell you, we tore it up back in the day. Here's Emily Drabinski on scene at the Socialist Convention 2023 at McCormick Place.
So this camera will be followed by the camera in the green, followed by the camera here. Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm a librarian. I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for bringing up libraries and classroom libraries, but also school libraries of all kinds, public libraries and higher education libraries who've been under attack in similar ways. But I think your point that public education needs to be a site of socialist organizing, I think libraries really do too. And that hasn't, I haven't seen that for the working in libraries, but I think there's real opportunity here to both connect what's happening in public education, what's happening in libraries, but also we need some help in the libraries. We need to be on the agenda of socialist organizing. So I just want to get.
Yeah, you get. It's a little hard to hear. I know, not great audio, but she says, libraries need to be in the forefront of this movement towards Marxism.
There were people who actually filled out.
We'll pick it up on the other side. 8 o'clock, AM 560, Chicago's Morning End.
Hurricane Lee's picking up steam. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. It's the 13th storm ever measured at this strength this far out in the Atlantic.
Hurricane Lee is now a Category 5 storm with sustained winds at 165 miles an hour. The storm is still in the middle of the Atlantic, generally heading northwest towards the Bahamas, but the forecast track is still uncertain. Lee will begin to cause dangerous surf starting this weekend in the Lesser Antilles. By Sunday, Lee will be causing life-threatening rip currents along the U.S. East Coast. Tropical storm Margot is still in the eastern Atlantic and is expected to strengthen in the coming days. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
An American trapped in a cave in Turkey is thanking the Turkish government for the quick response that he says saved his life.
Crews say Mark Dickey suddenly began to suffer gastrointestinal bleeding while on the expedition roughly 3,000 feet underground. Doctors treating Dickey in the cave say his vomiting had stopped and he's finally been able to eat some food. Besides being difficult to navigate, cave temperatures at these depths is around 39 degrees.
Fox's Sean Langelo, regional disaster official, says the rescue operation will last at least 3 or 4 days. In about an hour, we expect to get a report on the investigation into former President Trump's efforts to change election results in Georgia. He and 18 co-defendants face criminal charges.
The report is expected to give more details into the special grand jury's investigation into former President Donald Trump and the 18 others it indicted. Fulton County, Georgia Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney released some of the report in February, including a section in which the grand jurors expressed concerns that one or more witnesses may have lied under oath and urged prosecutors to seek charges for perjury.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. President Biden lands in India this hour for the G20 World Leaders Summit starting tomorrow. He meets with India's Prime Minister Modi one-on-one today. America's listening to Fox News.
62 degrees. Skies are gray at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Here are the stories we're following on WIND Chicago. A 17-year-old boy fatally stabbed during an altercation in far west suburban Sycamore. Police responded to a report of a stabbing yesterday evening in the area of Elm and Salmonok. Upon arrival, officers discovered a 17-year-old boy who reportedly had been in a fight with another individual and then stabbed. The team was transported to Kishwaukee Hospital, pronounced dead later on. And according to police, another suspect has been taken into custody. A 20-year-old man was killed, a 35-year-old man badly hurt. It all happened after a shooting on the city's south side along the 10100 block of West 79th. Police responded to the scene and found two men who had been struck by gunfire. Chicago Teachers Union President Stacey Davis Gates is offering a weak response to sharp criticism over her son attending a private Catholic school on Chicago's South Side. In a letter, Gates said she was forced to send her son to that private school due to a lack of extracurricular opportunities like soccer in neighborhood public schools in the city. Chicago sports have found the Cubs 6-2 losers to the Diamondbacks at Wrigley Field, a loss to Javier Assad. Cubs still have a firm hold on a National League wildcard spot. White Sox take on the Tigers this weekend in Detroit. College football tonight, Fighting Illini take on Kansas. Tomorrow, Notre Dame will visit North Carolina State. Bears and Packers on Sunday. The news service of the Pride stores with 17 locations throughout Chicagoland that include Taco Urbano or Urban Counter restaurants. Stop by their new location, the Pride of Kane County in St. Charles, on the corner of Kirk and Main. The Pride stores, not your typical convenience stores. 8:04. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Apple shares appear to have stopped their slide today. This week's sell-off followed a ban on the use of iPhones and other foreign-owned smartphones at work by Chinese government officials and others. Analyst Dan Ives at Wedbush says he believes the reaction is overblown because in a worst-case scenario, it involves 500,000 iPhones there, and Wedbush predicts 45 million will be sold in China over the next year. Aviation parts supplier Spirit AeroSystems wants its clients Boeing and Airbus to pay more because it says inflation makes its contracts unsustainable. Airbus says it's dealing with wage inflation, part shortages, and more scrutiny from regulators, so it needs to reopen contracts. Spirit AeroSystems says it's already cut costs. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees only one way for DeSantis.
The strategy has to be, listen, I want to win. I want to beat Joe Biden. I support the MAGA movement. I support what Trump accomplished. I support his ideology. I just don't think he can win, but I can. That's the only way Ron DeSantis is going to be the nominee.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, folks. Dennis Prager here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and me talking about investing with YRefi for a while now. You may have some questions, so let's review. It's true. You can earn up to a 10.25% fixed rate of return that is not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There is no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investyrefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then refi, REFY.com. Or call 888-YREFI-24. Folks, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investyrefi.com or call 888-YREFI-24 and tell them Dennis Prager sent you.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss, even when you monitor your credit. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
8:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and we start on the Edens this morning. Travel times there, 28 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, an hour 14. O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike inbound is an hour 390 to the old post office. Stevenson settling in at about 63 minutes. 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound 40 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. The Tri-State slows up northbound Grand Avenue curve to the Bensonville Bridge. Reagan slows eastbound between the southbound Tri-State exit ramp and the Tri-State Tollway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, mostly cloudy skies. Our high today at 69. Partly cloudy tonight, low 59. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow. The high at 75. On Sunday, times of clouds and sunshine. The high 78. Monday, rain, high 68. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
61 at O'Hare, 64 Lakefront. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group at PureShaleFinancial.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is former ABC 7 political reporter Charles Thomas.
I'm no Amy Jake, but
you'll do just fine.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're doing very well. So it is a National Down Syndrome Awareness Month in America. We mentioned that at the outset of this week, it coming out of Labor Day, and it's the occasion for us to address how people with disabilities are treated and provided for in our society. It's one of the indicators of how civilized or uncivilized our society is, in my view. And it's also the occasion to profile some wonderful advocacy on behalf of people with Down syndrome and other conditions. One of them is Frank Stevens. Frank Stevens is a gentleman with Down syndrome, and he gave this great testimony before a House committee on funding research into Down syndrome at the federal level. This is back 6 years ago, but I think it rings true to today, particularly against the backdrop of advocacy from so many in the medical community, not to mention the political community, in the direction of abortion if it is identified during pregnancy that your child may have a disability, Down syndrome or something else. Here's what Frank Stevens had to say in part during his testimony before that congressional subcommittee about research into Down syndrome.
And members of the committee, just so there is no confusion, let me say that I am not a research scientist. However, no one knows more about life with Down syndrome than I do. Whatever you learn today, please remember this. I am a man with Down syndrome, and my life is worth living.
In addition to the sort of that statement of principle, which is a pretty damn good one, he went into some detail about why this research is important and what he doesn't want America to become.
Is there really no place for us in the world? Is there really no place for us in the NIH budget? On a deeply personal note, I cannot tell you how much it means to me that my extra chromosome might lead to the answer to Alzheimer's. It's likely that this thief will one day steal my memories, my very life, from me. This is very hard for me to say, but it has already begun to steal my mom from me. Please think about all those people you love, the way I love my mom. Help us make this difference. If not for me and my mom, then for you and the ones you love. Fund this research. Let's be America, not Iceland or Denmark. Let's pursue answers, not final solutions. Let's be America. Let's make our goal to be Alzheimer's free, not Down syndrome free. Thank you.
Sorry, Frank, we're too busy funding virology labs in Wuhan.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty powerful stuff, isn't it?
Life is God's expression on this earth. It's how God expresses himself on this earth. Life.
Nancy Gianni is the founder and chief belief officer. I love that title. It's like something like you would think like a tech startup, but it is even more appropriate in this context. Founder and chief belief officer of Gigi's Playhouses. These are Down Syndrome Achievement Centers. And I had the occasion to visit Gigi's Playhouse in Hoffman Estates a few weeks back, and it is unbelievable. You cannot believe what Nancy Gianni and her team locally and now globally have done. I mean, it's like Ray Kroc. It's like Ray Kroc starting, with one McDonald's and then there's 40 billion served. It really is sort of getting to that scale. It's incredible, which is why we wanted to have her on the show to tell her story and tell people more about what Gigi's Playhouses do in case they were not aware. Nancy, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, brother, how do you start me with Frank? I'm over here crying. That guy is so amazing and has done so much to create change. So thank you for playing that. That was awesome.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude. So tell us about Gigi's Playhouse, the spark that led you to create it, and what it does and where it's going.
Totally. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is so beyond awesome. Hello, Charles. Nice to meet you.
Good morning. Nice meeting you.
Good morning. So I started Gigi's Playhouse. Actually, it's going to be our 20-year anniversary. So next month will be our 20-year anniversary. So I guess that's what makes this so special to me. And Dan, that you're giving me a chance to talk about this, because I've literally spent the last 20 years getting individuals with Down syndrome ready for the world. And I'm going to spend the next 20 years getting the world ready for them, opening up opportunities, opening up jobs, opening up minds, opening up people's hearts to individuals with Down syndrome and what they have to offer us in the world. So let me tell you how I spent those last 20 years. So I started Gigi's Playhouse and they are Down Syndrome Achievement Centers. We offer free therapeutic and educational programming for individuals with Down syndrome, their families, and the community. So everything from prenatal diagnosis all the way through to career skills. We make a lifetime commitment to our family with free programs. So one-on-one tutoring in literacy and math, physical therapy-based fitness programs, career programs, social programs, a lot of outreach into the community, just really helping to show the world the potential that individuals with Down syndrome have and celebrate that diagnosis. And I started it because my diagnosis wasn't celebrated. You know, when Gigi was born, I heard condolences and not congratulations. I heard I'm sorry. I heard of, you know, a life that was going to be different than it was for my other kids, a life that wasn't going to be full of I literally thought my life was so over that I would never go to McDonald's Playland again. That's how they made me feel. Now, they took good care of me medically, but to them, this happening, especially, you know, there's a large termination rate, you know, 70% to all the way to 99% in countries like Iceland or Australia. So to people, that implies our kids are disposable and aren't meant to be here. That's why they were apologizing, because I got stuck with one in their eyes. And in their defense, in the defense of the medical communities, you know, what they know about Down syndrome is very little. I heard from doctors, they learn about 5 minutes about it in medical school. So to them, it was like, you know, one of those things you don't want to get. And that's where those condolences come from. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like one of the most positive people in the world, and they're taking me down. I'm like, I'm not going down there. I want to celebrate this diagnosis. I want people to have a place where they can walk in and see potential, feel the energy, and not just go into like some church basement and sit there and, you know, talk about the woes of Down syndrome. I wanted you to go in there, reach for the stars, set goals, and be the person that God wanted you to be. And that isn't just for that individual with Down syndrome. That's for their family. That's for the volunteers. Anybody who walks into Gigi's, and Dan, you were there. You feel that energy. You feel that gift.
When I was there, your daughter Gigi, she was doing a podcast. There's a store adjacent to like the central part of the establishment. There's a store, and you've got people working, and they're setting up for the store where you get ice cream and other actually arts and crafts that were made by people at the facility at your location there at Gigi's Playhouse. I mean, so it was a bustle. I mean, you're like a one-woman bustle of activity, but there was a bustle of activity elsewhere in addition to that.
Yeah, it's nonstop. So whether we're, you know, whether it's a new mom with a prenatal diagnosis, or it's somebody learning to read, math, speech therapy, whatever it is, there's stuff happening all around the playhouses. But the beauty of that is, like, we don't just serve the individual with Down syndrome, we serve the community. We give the community a place to volunteer, to learn about acceptance, to a place where, you know, a lot of our kids are in separate classrooms. They're away from the other kids in school. They're segregated in schools. So a lot of times our kids these days are being brought up to go, oh, they're different. They're in a different class. Oh, that means they don't belong with me. And nothing could be further from the truth. So, you know, keeping them in the separate hallways, the separate part of the school, is keeping them away from other children. And that tells those other children, I don't belong with them. And, you know, kids aren't born with prejudice. It's taught to them. And when we separate our kids from the other kids, they think that they shouldn't be together. So Gigi's is a place where a family, you know, we do it always in a strip mall in a retail area and we put our kids' pictures all over so that people can walk by with their kids and open up dialogue where you can walk in and learn and have a great time. All of the Gigi's Playhouses, we are built on fun. We are built on celebration. And you could bring your kids in, and I promise you they will walk out different. They will walk out understanding, you know, this has nothing to do, individuals with Down syndrome have low muscle tone. So like when a typical baby is born, they're like checking out the world. Our kids are born and they are literally teaching their bodies how to suck, swallow, and breathe at the same time. They then have to teach their bodies the mechanics of walking, talking, reading, eating. everything that comes naturally to us, they have to teach their bodies to do. I mean, that's amazing. They are the strongest people that I know. And yet people think because these things are harder for them that they're less than. But, they overcome all of that and really, truly makes them the strongest people that I know, which is why we fight for them. And I will continue to fight for them.
Tell us about the development, though, of, essentially franchising Chi-Chi's Playhouse so that Hoffman Estates.
Oh, my gosh.
But,
yes.
We were looking at the map when I was there. You were giving me the tutorial, bit of a geography lesson of where all these establishments are, where the more that are coming online. I think after I was there, you were going to Mexico City or something. So just give us a sense of scale here.
Absolutely. I see, Frank got me all messed up. You got me all emotional, and then I went the other way. I got to get you back on the business model, brother.
Yeah, right.
We even though we're not for profit, we are a business. The difference in the not for profit and the for profit is tax status. And let me tell you this: I have to jump through a lot more hoops than the for profit. So it is not easy to establish a not-for-profit, let alone a $25 million international not-for-profit, which is what Gigi's is today. So we started that one location. We now have 58 locations across the country and in Mexico. And we serve families in 86 countries with our free programs. And the virtual Playhouse started after COVID. Obviously, there was a huge need there. And as soon as we had to shut down that Playhouse, we literally had to shut down 4,400 hours a week of free therapeutic and educational programming. I mean, that was what we do. We do about 5,000 now a week. So our families desperately need us. But what happens is
that migrated online, right?
Yes. Yeah, and we did it before the schools. We were able to make that happen within 13 days of shutdown, which was pretty fantastic. And it was absolutely amazing. And it was, you think about that. I'm a 99% volunteer-run organization. Where were my volunteers now? So my volunteers were now home with their other kids, home with their jobs. We had to do something quick so that we could take the pressure off of them, because these are volunteers who are running these playhouses across the country. So let me fill you in on how that works. So a community comes to us that wants to serve their community with free programs. So they start out with a team of volunteers who get into their community and start just building up the momentum, building up the teams. They become their own individual LLC, and then they open up their playhouse. They're responsible for their fundraising. They are responsible for their locations. They are responsible for serving those communities. So we have an international model where we provide all that platform, all of the intellectual property, everything they need to run their location is ran through our LMS. We have a learning management system, and that way they could be our feet on the streets, and they could do it with probably some locations, 1, sometimes 2 employees, and the rest is all done by volunteers because we can train them from the national level. So it is beyond a gift from God. Our Mexico locations, which is where I was going when you were there, Mexico, that's another place where they're not philanthropic in Mexico. People were still hiding their kids away when we opened our Mexico location 10 years ago. Very low mortality rate. Now I'm looking at, we just opened our second location in Mexico. And this is just such a place where they don't terminate, the terminations in Mexico are a lot lower than they are here in the United States or in other countries. And these families, there's a big cultural, like in many different cultures, there's just a shame
stigma
of having a person with a disability. Yeah. And so what we're doing there is literally game changing, and all the other Spanish speaking countries want to do it. So we're helping everybody as this goes on. It's just a model that's scalable and replicable, and everything we do is free. Like, what we do would never fit into any Fortune 500 CEO, create all these programs and then give everything away for free. But that's how the change is happening. And then I get believers like you, Dan, who can come in and see what we're doing and help spread our message. It's so important that we get this message out there. Our kids deserve a place in this world. And I'm so grateful that you have taken the time, that you came out to visit us. because that's what needs to happen. People need to step in and live it, because our kids aren't out there in the schools. They're not out there in the jobs because they're not available, or they're in different areas. We need people to see us, and that's what Gigi's is all about.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, it's one of the most impressive nonprofit operations I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them. I mean, it really is breathtaking what you've done and the scale to which you've brought this. It's just unbelievable. Nancy Gianni is the founder and chief belief officer of Gigi's Playhouse. Gigi'sPlayhouse.org is the website if you want to volunteer or you want to support Gigi's Playhouse, which you should do one or both if you are so motivated. Nancy, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Continued success.
Oh, brother, thank you so much. You guys have a fantastic weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
I wish I had 1% of her positivity and energy, but I have neither. Nancy joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Is your cell phone in desperate need of replacement? Well, put that old phone to rest. Pure Talk will upgrade you to a new 5G Samsung Galaxy from Pure Talk for free. Enjoy 2-day battery life, edge-to-edge display, and ultra-strong Gorilla Glass when you sign up for Pure Talk's unlimited talk, text, and 15-gig data plan for just $35 a month with mobile hotspot. Customer service is waiting by. Dial pound 250 and say keyword SAVE NOW for this special offer. Dial pound 250 keyword SAVE NOW.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I just had retired. I'm a union carpenter, so my body was a little wore out. My shoulders were hurting. Like, I eat potatoes and stuff, but I wasn't getting all the vegetables right, so I started thinking about that. And because there's no compounds, it's just all natural. It's not like vitamins you buy at the store where you read the ingredients and there's like all different things. I don't even know how to pronounce the names that are in these vitamins. But this Balance of Nature is just all natural stuff, no artificial things. So I thought, I'll give that a try. You know, the stuff works. So now you guys made it easy for me to stay healthy.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560. The Answer.
Me, myself, I, and Charles Thomas in for Amy Day this morning. And at 8:38, it's that time of the week, Open Mic Friday. Taking your calls with comments, compliments, concerns, criticisms, general crack pottery. We'll take it all at 8:38. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And talk a little bit about shifting demographics among young men and non-whites as it pertains to presidential politics. We'll start there. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
62 degrees, some rain and drizzle crossing the area. Severe rainstorms have eased, but floodwaters are still rising in central Greece. leaving 6 dead and 6 others missing. North Korea says it has a new submarine with nuclear attack capabilities. After years of development, you may recall in July, the U.S. docked their own nuclear-capable ballistic missile sub in South Korea for the first time since the 1980s. New polling getting some reaction in India this morning. Voters are apparently concerned about President Biden's age. Fox's Peter Ducey reports from on the ground in New Delhi at the G20.
To convince people worried about his advanced age that he's not just old, he is old and daring. They just cut this new ad about his quick trip to Kiev.
In the middle of a war zone, Joe Biden showed the world what America is made of. That's the quiet strength of a true leader who doesn't back down to a dictator.
Months after that trip to Ukraine, only 28% are saying the president inspires confidence in a CNN poll, and a supermajority of Democrats, 67%, wish they had a Biden primary alternative.
The president looking to strengthen foreign ties this weekend amid challenges posed by China and AI. Hurricane Lee charging through the warm Atlantic. As the season's first Category 5 storm, it's not expected to make any landfall. A 17-year-old boy was fatally stabbed during an altercation in far west suburban Sycamore. Police responded to a report of a stabbing yesterday evening near Elm and Summit concert at the UC last night. Lead singer Eddie Vedder told the crowd the Hawks will be retiring Chelios's number 7 on February 25 of next year. Cubs lost to the Diamondbacks 6-2. White Sox take on the Tigers this weekend. College football tonight. Fighting Illini look to stay undefeated, but go in as a slight underdog to the Kansas Jayhawks. Number 11 Notre Dame takes on North Carolina State tomorrow. The news, a service of Protect and Grow with Tim Stearns. Tune in Saturdays at noon and enjoy weekly discussions to a secure retirement. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
The Democrat base, the army of mafia misfits, they're not aligned with us. They don't want to fix the problem and have the principles of Americanism. The people who support Democrats to this day, right now, who will, no matter what, vote for Joe Biden or a earthworm, they will continue to be the problem.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm telling you, I'll be 74 in May, and I can't tell you how good I feel. I'm telling you, have my sister on it and her husband and so many different people.
It's just what the advertisements say, which is you get more energy. It really is a balance that the body needs, because if you just take regular people's diet, there's no way that they get the amount of servings of vegetables and fruits that they need. And so what this does, it assures that you are getting that. It really is. It's a beautiful name, Balance of Nature. And I tell everybody about it. When you got other people recommending it, it's a big thing.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Former CIA officer and survival expert Jason Hansen here. I teach people how to prepare for the unexpected. Right now, most Americans are not ready for the death of the U.S. dollar. You have money sitting in cash, and if you don't act soon, your financial future could be at risk. I have partnered with Advantage Gold, the #1 rated precious metals company in America, to release my new digital dollar survival kit that's 100% free for everyone who calls today and claims your free survival kit. Simply call 800-900-8000 and give your email address, and I will have this new digital dollar survival kit sent to you immediately. Call 1-800-900-8000 now and claim your free kit, and also mention my name, Jason Hansen, and see how you could also qualify for $1,000 in free silver. Supplies are limited, so call right now before it's too late. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Check with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
This hourly segment is brought to you by NJ Diet. Lose 20 to 40 pounds in just 40 days. Call 855-NJ-DIET or NJDiet.com.
8:37, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Lowe's right now. Get up to $1,500 off select major kitchen appliances because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 9/13. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for any details. Inbound Edens, 34 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the junction. Well, the Kennedy is at an hour and 20 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at an hour 6 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson just now beginning to drop, 51 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound, accident right shoulder, right at 47. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, cloudy and 69 today, partly cloudy and 59 overnight. 61 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call in now! Open mic Friday!
Dan and Charles Thomas, former ABC7 political reporter, in for Amy J this morning. ABC7 political reporter emeritus. It sounds
emeritus,
more,
right?
Yeah, it sounds more academic.
It's been 6.5 years, since I left Channel 7.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe. 6.5 years.
Time flies. Well, we're happy to have you, and we're happy to have you for Open Mic Friday. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, taking your calls. And I want to start with a couple of things. One we mentioned, the other we didn't. Finally, Alex P. Keaton, who was my role model growing up, is back in style, Charles. Young men, high school men are moving in a more conservative direction. Survey by Monitoring the Future, an academic project that's been studying American youth for decades in terms of, in part, their political attitudes, found that 23% of senior boys, 12th grade boys, identified as conservative, with only 13% describing themselves as liberal. So we got a positive spread among young men in high school, seniors in high school. This was conducted by University of Michigan, first conducted in 76. 76, 17% of high school boys were conservative, 25% as liberal. So over the last almost 50 years, we've flipped the script. Now,
Flip the script, yeah. That's...
on the other hand, women have gone more to the left. 30% of female seniors, 12th graders, identify as liberal compared to 12% conservative. We're not getting the job done with young women. So frustrating. So that's one data point that's interesting in the context of 2024, particularly when, per the polling that's been out, not just the CNN poll that people are talking about, but the polling that's been out over the last couple of weeks that basically show it's a dead heat. Biden versus Trump and many of the other Republican nominees. It's a dead heat. Okay. At least now. Long way to go. But the demographic trend lines are interesting because they provide direction in terms of where your mission fields are when you're trying to identify, inform, and turn out people come next year. And so I mentioned this piece by Rui Teixeira, who is, again, a Yale political scientist. I don't know if he's still there, but Democrat. And the title of the piece is, "It's official, the Democrats have a non-white voter problem." And this is something you've been saying for a while, that, you feel like the disparity among Republicans and Democrats with non-whites is narrowing.
Anecdotally.
Well, now you've got some data to support it.
Well, again, anecdotally, I do a podcast on Monday nights at 7 p.m. on a Black-owned platform called intellectualradio.com.
Okay.
And it's myself coming from the right and a friend of mine named Mark Wallace, who comes at things from the left. Our listenership, viewership, whatever, that we can track on Facebook and YouTube and such, has increased at least tenfold in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it suggests to me that black folks in particular are paying attention to something other than the Democrat, rhetoric and such. And I'm encouraged by that because I've always believed that before African Americans, black people, can move to the Republican Party, they're going to have to move away from the Democrat Party to the middle.
Two-step process.
It is a two-step process, and I sense it happening. Certainly people are paying attention to Mark and I because we get into it. I mean, we have some knockdown, drag-out debates, arguments, whatever. You hear it right there during this podcast, but people are paying attention. And I got to think they're paying attention more to me than they are to him because what he's talking about is the same old tired stuff that we've been hearing for the past 50 years at least from the Democrat Party. And I'm encouraged by that. I would hope that sometime in the near future that we'll see that 95% black support for the Democrat Party to shift down below 80% so that in states like Illinois, we can have some change. A big part of the problem is what we talked about earlier this morning, which is that the Republicans are just so benign. They're really offering nothing.
Yeah.
And they're not making any real aggressive moves to do anything. But I really want to impress to get away from this race rhetoric that the Democrats have used. I mean, they've been using it for 150 years to divide black and white in order to manipulate the outcomes of elections. I mean, Democrats are doing the same thing during Jim Crow that they're doing right now, which is to divide races. But my contention again is that rural whites have the same problems as urban blacks and Latinos. And we have to find a way to bring those groups to understanding, particularly urban blacks. They have to understand that they are being manipulated when they talk about reparations, the Democrats, that is, or when they talk about white supremacy being the number one terrorist threat in the country. When we hear that rhetoric, it is specifically aimed at dividing whites from blacks. And unfortunately, it has worked, but I think it's not working as well. Now, black women are a particular problem. Black women seem to be bought and sold and I hate to use that analogy, but by the Democrat Party. They are using them not only to run for elective office, but they're also using them to carry on their agenda, such as your what's this woman in Georgia,
Fani Willis.
Fani Willis,
yeah.
That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They use them out front. So you criticize Fani Willis, you're a racist,
right?
I mean, come on.
Well, as I said, there's some data to back up what you're saying, what you're seeing and hearing from your listeners on the podcast. Times Siena data. Biden has a 61-23 lead among non-white college grads, but that drops to 49-31 among non-white individuals without a four-year degree. Rui Teixeira writes, clearly there's a very real and very large problem here. Democrats may simply have misjudged what is most important to non-white voters, reflecting perhaps the increasing domination of their coalition by white college graduate voters, and I would say particularly women. The only demographic among whom the party has been doing steadily better. Interesting. Also this, this is from, again, Teixeira's piece. May Washington Post ABC poll, who do you think did a better job handling the economy, Trump or Biden? Non-white respondents, 48-41, Trump.
Absolutely.
August Fox News poll, 2/3 of non-white voters rated their personal financial situation as only fair or poor. Barely more than a quarter, 27% said the Biden administration made the economy better compared to 42% who said he made it worse. Another survey, 57% of non-white voters say Biden has accomplished not that much or little during his time in office. About half consider the Democratic Party too extreme. These are non-white voters. So it's just, it's not going to be, 95-5 to, you're not going to do a 180 flip here. But as you say, a possibility of attrition down from 95% to under 80, or in the Latino community down from, or up maybe from 30% to 35 or 40. Those are huge moves when you've got essentially a divided country.
States like Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, you move that black vote. You move that black vote down below around 75% for the Democrats. The Democrats lose.
That's right.
They absolutely lose. The other problem that
long road to hoe, but that's true.
Well, the Democrats also are using this whole notion of intersectionality, where suddenly they have African Americans lumped in with the LGBTQ plus XYZ element of P group,
right?
And suddenly we have common interests, and then abortion. Black women are getting abortions 3 times the rate the national average, but they're putting black women out there in front of this abortion issue, when in fact I don't know that the black community necessarily, that's not our signature issue. Our signature issues are economic, not the abortion issue, but they're lumping us in with that, and I think there's a lot of resentment on a lot of black voters, particularly among black men, that what's up? We're not into all this, culture war. In the culture war, we're not necessarily on your side.
Ron, South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, morning, Dan. Always enjoy you, Charles.
Good morning.
I appreciate your optimism, but you say you think things are going in the right way. It's hard for me to believe that when anyone, black, white, anyone voted for Brandon Johnson. I come on every station to talk to him. I said he would be the last person. But more importantly, what I call Stacey Davis Gates is despicable. She's a fraud. Despicable. Have a good weekend.
All right, there you go. Thanks for the call, Ron.
Right.
No explanation necessary. Tony, Downers Grove.
Hey, Dad, a few quick things. I'll be quick. You had that little piece on the restaurant industry and the tips. This is so ridiculous, having worked in and sold to the industry for over 40 years. This socialist fool, Sarah Jaruman, whatever her name, Jaruman, she lies across the country about the support she's getting with this movement, One Fair Wage. But I expect nothing less from the city council members. These are the same people that also just scheduled the Taste of Chicago on the same day or Sunday, which has the Packers and the Bears opening at Soldier Field. Yep, I'll carjacking today for 20, Alex. Thank you. And Dan, real quick suggestion. After why Dan is single, why don't we have a minute of history musings with Frank from Arlington? Thanks, Dan. Have a great weekend.
There you go. Thanks for the call. Frank's History Minute. Yeah, we'll have to work on the branding of that. Bob, Rogers Park.
Yes, a while back, I was with my two teenage sons, and a homeless guy tried to shoulder into one of them. I was a few steps ahead of my sons. And the first son ducked, he hit the second one. So I turned around, I said, what's going on? He goes, could you help the homeless? I said, where do you live? He said, Lower Wacker Drive. I said, you're doing better than I am. I can't afford to live downtown. He said, no, I live outside. I live outside. I said, yeah, close to the office, nice view of the lake, fresh air. He goes, no, I live outside. I live outside. He finally gave up on me. He figured I was hopeless. But this is kind of relevant to the experiment that they're doing in Highland Park.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
Poverty simulation, yeah. Oh, you're doing better than I am. You're right by the lake. It's pretty good. Pretty good comeback. George in Naperville.
Dan, I'm concerned Brandon's tent city for migrants will spawn another Scarface and bring Chicago's criminal kingpin legacy back.
Okay. I don't know if I'm exactly getting that, but all right. Bob Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan, and good morning to you, Mr. Thomas.
Good morning.
I missed Amy's weighing in on the topic earlier this morning, CPS schools. The CPS performance of the students is a complex issue, but let me offer the following.
It's not that complex. It's not that complex.
Well, here, let me ask you this one. Both her sons went to CPS schools, and they performed well, went to college. So what happened? I wish Wire Points would delve into the structure of the performance of the students and the family structure.
Well, of course.
And one more thing. For the migrants into the city, they ought to put them in the secret park in Lakeshore East. Are you aware of that park?
Yeah, I am aware of that park. It's not much of a secret. We're both aware of it. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, but I bet a lot of Chicagoans aren't aware of it. It's a neat park, but put it there and see what happens.
Thanks, Bob.
Is this guy suggesting that somehow fatherless homes have something to do with educational achievement?
Oh, heavens.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, right. Well, here's the thing. I've presented this before. I'll present it again. I believe you could shut down the Chicago public schools. Take that $10 billion back. First of all, turn it all into scholarships and give kids, well, I don't care. Give them the $30,000 that CPS spends per people and let them take it wherever they want. I mean, the money is secondary to me. The system, the Soviet system, is the problem. But you could shut down CPS tomorrow, and the results of that student group would be better than they are in CPS. Because if you have motivated parents at home, you're going to get educated. You're going to get educated at home, and they're going to find a place for either they're going to do it themselves or they're going to find a place for you to go to school. The idea that, I mean, you could not do worse if you were attempting to, which is why Bill Bennett said in the 80s when he was education secretary, the Ku Klux Klan could not design a system more destructive to minority children than the Chicago public school system.
Amen.
So it is not that complicated to me. Mark, Western Burbs. Oh, wait, hold on. I screwed up. Hold on, technical error. Mark, Western Burbs.
Yeah, hi, Dan. Here's a summary for the week and a quiz for everyone. How do you create a third world country? You take a first world country and you remove God and the rule of law, and that's where we're heading.
That's a good summary. Thanks, Mark.
There's going to be D-Light Duo at 1 o'clock. So everybody get out this weekend, and I'm keep bumping into more and more listeners. So thank you for letting me be on. You guys have a great weekend.
No, thank you, Chuck. He's our social director here at AM 560.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Charles Thomas, thank you so much for sitting in for Amy.
And thank you
today.
and
Great.
Amy for being an island of sanity.
We do what we can.
Crazy world.
Try to maintain it. Charles Thomas, have a great weekend. Everybody else, have a great weekend. Turn it over to Mike Scott for the news.
A deadly Homewood crash is under investigation. A strike called by union officials at a suburban elder care facility. WIND Chicago News Time, 9.
President Biden's arrived in India. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Air Force One landed a few minutes ago. He's there to attend the two-day G20 World Leaders Summit, focused mostly on the global economy. Talks expected about the war in Ukraine.
The leaders of the G20 want to talk about the war, but it's going to be tough to get everybody on the same page in condemning Russia because a lot of the members are just worried about grain prices high as a result of the war. They want those grain prices to come down. Something else the leaders want to talk about is climate change, what to do about it. But that's going to be kind of a tough sell, too, because the host country has not historically agreed to reduce emissions as they've grown their economy.
Fox's Peter Ducey in New Delhi, India. Elon Musk is confirming a report that he refused to grant a request for satellite service that would have enabled Ukraine's military to launch a drone attack on a Russian naval fleet anchored in Russian-occupied Crimea last year. Musk posting on X, formerly Twitter, "If I had agreed to their request, then SpaceX would be explicitly complicit in a major act of war and conflict escalation." A senior advisor to Ukraine's president responds to what he calls Musk's interference. As a result, civilians, children are being killed. This is the price of a cocktail of ignorance and a big ego. Hurricane Lee's a Category 5 storm now, the highest there is out over the Atlantic. Maximum sustained winds measured at 165 miles an hour and getting stronger. Fox meteorologist Janice Dean.
We really have to pay attention to Lee, all right, because the computer models, there's a very wide spread, but my concern is that they're getting closer towards the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. You can see New York, Boston, Bangor, Maine, kind of in that cone of uncertainty. So I would say as we get into the weekend, pay closer attention if you live along the East Coast.
The storm's expected to pass north of islands in the Caribbean. King Charles is marking 1 year since his mother, Queen Elizabeth's death.
We recall with great affection her long life, devoted service, and all she meant to so many of us.
America's listening to
Rain and drizzle in the area, 62 degrees at 9:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 17-year-old boy was fatally stabbed during an altercation in far west suburban Sycamore. Police responded to a report of a stabbing Thursday evening in the area of Elm and Salmonaught. That teen was transported to Kishwaukee Hospital, later pronounced dead. A 20-year-old man was killed. A 35-year-old man hurt after a shooting on the city's south side along West 79th. The shooting happened around 9 last night. Illinois health officials are optimistic that COVID-19 outbreaks this winter won't be severe. During meetings with health departments from around the state, Artie Barnes, the chief medical officer with the IDPH, says it appears hospital admissions in the state have already peaked.
I'm not going to go as far as say that we're not going to see another second wave coming up deeper into the winter, but at least it looks like this is one slightly reassuring piece of news.
Barnes says wastewater treatment testing shows there's no real dominant strain of coronavirus in Illinois. The National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation has issued a special legal notice to the approximately 1,000 Illinois nursing home workers who may be impacted by a possible strike. SEIU is threatening to call that strike this week, and if it happens, employees from 11 Infinity Healthcare nursing facilities in the suburbs will be ordered off the job. National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation Vice President Patrick Seaman says workers do not have to participate. Cubs 6-2 losers to the Diamondbacks at Wrigley Field. White Sox take on the Tigers this weekend. College